Everybody, hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. I am joined by a very, very special guest here, the one and only JHobz 296, who, if you did not know, is kind of like the head of the whole interview team for GDQ, and that includes the pre-show that we're going to watch now. We're going to watch the pre-show for AGDQ 2023, and we were both heavily involved in this, and we like to share with you all a little bit of what went on behind the scenes and kind of how we put something like this together. How are you doing, Hobbs?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. It's a little late on my end, but I'm like happy to talk about pre-show. I always love talking about production stuff because it's what I really like when I like watch movies and watch documentaries about them and stuff like that. I'm always interested in that stuff, and even just like learning about how random things were made. I'm always excited. So
Yeah,
yeah, this is gonna be fun.
absolutely. Well, I say let's just watch the intro section, and we can talk a little bit from there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AGDQ 2023 Online.
Yeah, we did
We're
it.
so excited to be raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation all week long, and we cannot wait for you to see the amazing lineup of runners that will be performing speedruns for you nonstop in the coming days. For this year's pre-show, we thought we'd try something a little bit different.
And that
We're going to take a journey through the realms of Speedlandia, which is a wonderful place that contains lots of information about the upcoming schedule and the games you can see this week. Without further ado, though, it looks like our adventurers are ready to wield their
Intros are
swords,
always so
cast
weird,
some
man. They're
spells,
so hard to
Yeah.
like
and roll
get.
some dice. So welcome to Awesome Games, Dungeons, and Quests.
Okay,
All
you gotta
right.
pause because there's already like 9 things to talk about.
Hobbs, you start
Just
first. You
opening.
start first. So we're doing D&D. Where did this come from?
Yeah, okay, so the way we write these things, because everything like the pre-show is always fairly scripted. The last couple like the online events have been more scripted than the on-site events, believe it or not. But it's always pretty like we always write down what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And for this, we go through a gigantic like brainstorming process that usually is kind of like 2 entire brainstorming sessions across a couple weeks or so. Everybody who's on the camera and most of the people behind the camera as well are all part of this like writing process. There's no like we don't have writers that go write this thing. And
Yeah,
then
it's definitely like we're doing
hop on.
a writer's retreat that they do in TV shows where, everybody's just throwing ideas on the board, what sticks, and someone will throw an idea, then someone else is like, oh, that's great, and then
Yeah.
this, and you can add this to it, and then slowly we get something that goes together. But like a couple weeks beforehand, we'll finally decide on the concept that we're going to be taking the pre-show in, and this time,
Yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons.
I thought about like should I show some of the like the brainstorming or the script or anything like that, and the script would maybe be okay, but the brainstorming I'm like I don't want to, because sometimes we have good ideas that we can't use or we decide not to use for an event and that we end up like pulling from for future events, so I'm not going to.
That's good. Keep
but-
people surprised.
Yeah, but the thing is like I learned a bunch of like brainstorming techniques a while back that I tried to bring into the team, where the big core thing is when brainstorming is quantity over quality. You kind of always think like you want to get good ideas and pitch good ideas because you're like nervous that people are gonna like judge your bad ideas, but no, that's not. You actually just want the most number of ideas possible. The number of times we've had something that seemed like a terrible idea on paper just get twisted in one tiny way when somebody else heard it and became a fantastic idea that was like something in the pre-show in the script is numerous. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable how often that happens.
I can't think of an
So-
example off the top of my head, but this
No,
is a
me
regular
either.
occurrence.
I mean, heck, even just like the Deathloop one was kind of like seemed like it might be a bit much or something, or might be hard, and then we kind of we ignored it for a while and we came back to it, and then it became the whole pre-show. D&D though was one of the weirdly we kind of all just jumped on this one right away. I don't remember who said it or who put it in the doc because we don't really like tend to pay attention to that as much. It's more just about like everybody dumping all their ideas on the same piece of paper effectively and then going through them. But this one, I remember when it showed up, we were kind of just going through idea by idea. And what we'll generally do is we'll have this whole list, and then we'll go down, and I'll just kind of play mediator, moving us from topic to topic, and we'll just riff off of the idea, and we'll just see what pops up. And if we can't think of anything, then maybe that idea is not going to work. But if we just start thinking of stuff, then it seems pretty good. D&D was like the idea we didn't want to move off of.
It was just too perfect, yeah. And it was something
really good, yeah.
we could only really do for remote events, because doing a pre-show like this, because for those of you who don't know, surprises are pre-recorded. Oh no!
Wow.
Yeah. No one's ever gonna know that for sure. Yeah, but doing it live in one take, start to finish, is very, very different. So we try to do things for these pre-recorded ones you can't really do, and this is very much something we could not have done live because there's so much to this.
Yeah. We do specifically think about them very differently, and we tried to use I think starting with the very first time we went online, we tried really hard to use it as an asset and not a crutch, basically. Like the fact that we're not going to be able to do this thing live. Let's figure out how to make that work for us. And since then, the pre-shows have only become more and more inventive every year, including on-sites. Like on-sites have benefited from that. Mm-hmm. And part of my job when we're like going through this brainstorming stuff is when we all latch onto an idea, I have to be the one that's like, okay, let's move off of this idea. Let's now that we have all these exciting, let's talk about this other one. What if we have a different, like, what if this idea ends up being better? Because you never know. Like maybe you come up with a bunch of ideas for topic A, but then further down the list, topic B is actually going to make your better show overall. You end up having better ideas for that. And so it was extra hard this time with the D&D one because we all just had so many ideas right away. But yeah, we ended up coming back to it pretty quickly, I think, and ended up settling on this one very fast.
Yeah, this is probably the quickest we settled. Like, it's like, this is it. This is what we're doing. This one came together so fast. Also, I realized I introduced what Hobbs does. I never talked about what I actually do for the pre-show.
Yeah, what do you do? I'm your boss, but like that.
Yeah, Hobbs is my boss.
Nothing else matters. Go ahead. We'll just keep going.
No. I will say, I was basically the cinematographer for this one. So I set up the shots, the camera angles, and basically made sure everything we had would work. And so all the little close-up shots and all that, that was kind of like my field of stuff. I also used one of my cameras for this, so shout outs to the little camera that could, doing a lot of overtime work for the pre-shows. But yeah, so that's kind of what I do. And
not only that, but Phant, along with Musical Daredevil, another one of the fantastic members on our team, made pretty much all the music you'll hear. Not literally all, because we have some Zelda music in there, but almost all of the music you'll hear in the pre-show was just made by David and Phant. So it's like,
I'll be playing those. I've got really the original files for them, since it's really difficult to hear in the final edit of the pre-show. It came together very quick, so no worries there. But we'll make sure you can hear all the music firsthand. Anyway, so immediately, God, we have so much to talk about in this.
I know the intro. So we filmed the intro last, actually, which means we kind of had a lot to talk about with it.
Yeah, this one right here.
And the first things first is like I remember when we all had a lot of great ideas for D&D, but when we were deciding on the exact format, it was really hard because one of the hardest parts about doing a collaborative writing process, and especially one that's online and mostly voice only, is trying to make sure that the image you see in your head is the same as what the other people in the call are seeing. Because if those don't align, then you're going to end up with some joke not landing, or something, just somebody taking a different tone with a specific thing or whatever, and it's going to be a mess. And so we had a lot of like really great ideas, and like one of the ideas is, okay, well, what if this is like a full on, like we're playing, like we're doing the role playing of the characters or something straight up in costume, like as if everything is real, but then like maybe we pull out and it turns out it's actually all a D&D game or something. And we very quickly threw that away because we have no budget. Uh,
These are put together on shoestring budgets, everybody. And
Yeah.
it really comes together because there are so many people on this team that are just complete nerds. Just for example, on the screen here, all these figures are courtesy of Scent, who just happen to have a war chest of all the figures that we need.
Scent specifically rated like their friend's set of stuff too. It was funny, and that just kind of lucked out last minute.
Yeah, that's just fantastic. And God, I had a screenshot here somewhere, but
Yeah. Also, like
whatever. I'll bring it in.
the boards, the various like play fields you'll see are from Caveman, and like a lot of the dice was just brought in by individuals and stuff.
Yeah,
So
here I'll
good.
just bring a close up of of one of the things. Yeah, so yeah, all these little figures here, just close up things. And then everybody brought their own dice. So coincidentally, ADF ran 3 seasons of a Dungeons and Dragons show, and we had 3 of the people who were part of that, myself, Fu, and ADF, who had been part of those campaigns here. So I had a bunch of dice, Fu had a bunch of dice, ADF had a bunch of dice. We're all nerds. We all just had so much dice that we could do, and that was just... It's so nice having that, that everybody can bring this stuff.
What's funny too is just like I was saying about trying to get the same image in everybody's head. Like Spike knew nothing about D&D coming into this. Like Spike is often writing a lot of really like coming up with a lot of really funny ideas for the pre-shows and stuff. But D&D is just not his world. So there was a lot of kind of having to teach him how somebody plays D&D, like how to play D&D, and then telling him like, okay, but here's all the parts that we could just completely toss out. It was just a fun like weird thing, you know, especially given that Spike is so good at role play. Like he's like an actor, right? So it's funny that D&D is like the thing that just never happened for him. It was really,
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, of the interview crew, both Spike and ADF have a lot of theater experience, and you know they can do a lot of fun stuff, and it shows. But let's watch a little bit
Realms
more.
of Speedlandia,
we could
which is a wonderful place that
break
contains
it up and
lots of
talk about it
information about
afterward.
the upcoming schedule and the
This
games
upcoming,
you can
like,
see this week.
Cut
Without
is
further
really
ado,
cool
though, it
too.
looks like our
It is
adventurers are
fun.
ready to wield
Yeah, let's watch like
swords,
to one of the
cast
player
some
introductions,
spells,
and we could
and
pause
roll
again.
some dice. So welcome to Awesome Games, Dungeons, and
This music
Quests.
stinger. Yeah, that
You
was
find
made by
yourselves
us.
at Yolanda's Tavern. It's a bustling, small-town establishment with all manner of folk enjoying a well-earned drink after, no doubt, a hard day's work and maybe a little bit of mischief. Seated at a table near the bar, we find 3 would-be heroes who are awaiting a
There you
drink
are, Hobbs.
themselves and likely
Yeah,
awaiting
the number
their
of times
next
we had to do that.
adventure. Diesel, JHobz, Keyzeron, why don't you guys introduce your characters?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start. Hello, everyone. I am excited to be adventuring with you all today. My character's name is Jay, son of Hob, a scholar of the First Sin
God,
and a
this is so
member of
funny.
the commentator class. I
All right, I'm just gonna pause
Okay.
there because there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about here.
Yeah.
So, you know, one thing that you could really see on this screen is we did a lot of hidden characterization.
You want to pause on a different frame?
Yeah, you know what? Fine, Hobbs. This is pretty good though. There, how about that one? Or that one?
Whatever.
There you
enough.
go. You look pretty neutral there. So every single person at the table has a different set of dice that kind of goes with what they are. It's like Fiesel has like the very nice metal set. Hobbs, you also have a pretty orderly set because that goes with your character.
Yeah, Fiesels are made for like using over and over and over and over again. Mine are specifically all in a line from like smallest to biggest. Keys's are all different. They're from every die's from a different set because he's the randomizer runner.
Yeah. And then Spike, I'm not sure if we have it. We'll definitely see it later. Just has
We'll
like
see
a
it
regular D6. And a couple of people picked up on that, was fine. But this is my set right there. So the metal dice people use, that was the one I brought, as well as that one right there.
Yeah, and those metal dice sure did leave a whole lot of dents in this table.
Oh, we
as
destroyed this
found
table
out
with the
later.
dice.
We didn't
Fiesel
notice
rolled a
until
lot.
the end. It was
But no,
really
it's
funny.
fine. It's fine. This is actually the I think it was like the lunch table at the GDQ
Yeah, it's like
studio we brought over.
The break table that hasn't been used for food in 3 years. Yeah, but
Yeah.
we had to bring it in here, and then that the thing I really like about that transition from the like kind of traditional GDQ backdrop to the black backdrop is that, like I said, we filmed the intro last, and we really didn't know exactly how we were going to get from intro to the playing at the table. Like the black backdrop is pretty visible in this. Our original kind of image was that we would just kind of fade into a black void. Unfortunately, the dimensions of the space we were shooting in just didn't really allow for that. You need a lot of distance between your lit subjects and your nearest wall or backdrop in order to make that work. And so we were like, okay, well, we'll just go with this black backdrop. And to get from like, okay, how do we get from a normal intro to like a now it's time to for this D&D thing? We were playing with like, maybe we just don't have a normal GDQ backdrop thing. Maybe we lift the backdrop behind ADEF at some point, like, and you can see it rise up behind him. And we actually shot that as well.
It didn't look too great, so we opted for this.
But the funny thing is, the only reason we did it this way is because when ADEF was delivering that first, when he was delivering the take of just like, you know, the intro, he just, out of just random happenstance or whatever, just like to put a point on the last word, just decided to slam the thing down. I think it's because it was going to be the end of our take, and he was just like being funny. And when he did that, I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
I was like,
this scene right here. It just goes bam, and it made a great sound, and it's like, let's just do that again.
It was so good. I was just like, wait a minute, why don't we just match cut? Like, why don't we just cut straight to it? And as long as we can get like a little sound effect thing, then I think it'll work. And it worked out so perfectly, and it was just effectively serendipitous. That ADEF just decided to do that as a like dumb thing.
And another thing that made this just a really difficult shoot is, you know, we got like two of these like basically blackout curtains.
I wasn't sure how soon we were going to bring this up.
Yeah, I think we should bring it up now because it's going to make fun sets over the rest of it. So these are two blackout curtains that
they're actually
Hobbs brought over, or whatever.
I could see both. They're in my room right now. I can see.
Yeah, they're in his room, and then so like those are set up behind ADEF, and then there are also two blackout curtains here, and these are the same blackout curtains. We only had two of them. So
yeah,
this was fine because there was no way we could shoot all the angles because we had four corners of the table, four sides of the table, all active, and we had to make do with two backdrops. So basically what we did is we shot this pre-show 4 times and then put it together. So we shot once of ADEF, we shot once of this side of the table, once on the other side of the table, and then once with sense segments.
Yeah. We were originally like hoping maybe we could shoot 3 sides and just do sense separately, or maybe we could at least shoot like the side of 3 and then ADEF plus the other 2. And even before really the backdrop became an issue, it was like we were probably just not going to be able to get the camera angles we wanted.
Because Hobbs was too tall. We actually tried to do it, get to Spike, Boo, and all, but Hobbs was just too tall to make it to work. So we had to make the call really early. Now we're not doing this.
And plus, like, once we did put up the backdrop, we're like, well, this is never going to happen anyways. And so that is like one of the things I'm most proud of out of the whole pre-show is that I don't think anybody until they hear it can tell that we filmed every side of the table individually, and we were not all sitting. Like most of the time we were all actually sitting there, but not always.
We had some people standing in, reading in while people took a break, and
we had times where we had to put a camera where somebody is supposed to be sitting.
Yeah, exactly. And we also filmed all the close-ups of the tables separately. So we performed all those actions, so we had like a nice close-up there. And we don't have just a camera sitting in the middle of it looking at the table the whole time. But the way it worked was, so we only used this side where ADEF is, and then this side. So we shot it once with these 3 here, and then we just swapped sides and then put Spike and Foo there instead. So we didn't like rotate the whole setup and then shoot this side.
Yeah.
No, that was fine. And then ADEF and Sense were both shot in this corner. And again, we just rotated the table because if you follow the eye lines, follow all that, we made sure it was consistent.
Oh yeah.
Where
Our
Sense
spot
over on this
continuity.
side, yeah. We cared so much about
We-
continuity that probably nobody's gonna notice, but
Yeah,
hey, that's
like,
the
there's a
point,
few-
right? So
There's one thing we had to like edit because we there was one piece of continuity we just totally missed, and it was my
Yep.
fault.
yeah,
And
Heck and Hobbs.
and we'll get to it when later because it's a bit further in. But other than that, it was like we paid a lot of attention to like, okay, so if we're shooting it where the table's all been like rotated 180 effectively, like that means this person needs to sit here, this person needs to sit here, ADEF needs to now be on the other side of the table, the board needs to look this like turn the other way, the ape needs to be here, like it was a whole lot of working around that.
Mhm. All right, let's watch a little bit more. I do want to point out
Yeah.
one last thing before we watch a little bit more. So the people on the pre-show could use these character sheets as kind of like their notes, in-universe notes. And Spike drew, if you see this little black scribble right here, a giant afro on a stick figure in his character description. So if you're wondering what that is, that's what that is. And I love it.
Yeah,
I'm not
there's
sure if
one
I have any
little,
close-ups of it, but yeah.
There's a few different things we would put in the sheet because like Feasels has a lot of just his lines jotted down. I have just a few minor things I was messing up a bunch. But also in just like the race section, mine just says white as a ghost because I was just like, there's no way that'll be visible, but if it is, that'd be hilarious.
It is
so-
true. We have to expose the camera specifically for JHobz.
Well, to be fair, it was mostly because of what I was wearing. I should
Yeah.
have worn something a bit more neutral toned, but
It's
whatever.
okay. Keys was also wearing white, so
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine. All right, let's watch the character introductions here.
Yeah.
JHobz, keys are on. Why don't you guys introduce your characters?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start. Hello, everyone. I am excited to be adventuring with you all today. My character's name is Jay, son of Hob, a scholar of the First Sin and a member of the commentator class.
I love it.
Studied the blade for years. Never actually swung one, but I've already read all the materials, so I'm happy to help explain what's going on to anyone who gets lost.
All right, my character's name is A. I'm a reset ranger. My agility
I love
of
A.
18 allows me to hit reset just frames after making the first mistake. I automatically gain the initiative in any encounter with the reset button. However, each time I fail to get a gold split, I have to roll a saving throw to save my controller from being thrown out the window.
Hey, I'm Zeke.
Suddenly you hear a cry from
So the names are, I think what finally ended up actually selling us on this and why we got so excited about it overall was when we realized that all of our character classes we could come up with speedrun like tropes, like types of speedrunners for our character classes. And I think we do a pretty good job of hammering those in and trying to make each of these people just be like a stereotype basically. But like, yeah, we've got the reset ranger is like they got the shortest, they got the letter A because that's what you're gonna pick if you're resetting all the time. You're just gonna pick the fastest, thing. I went with Jay, son of Hob, because I couldn't think of anything better, and it ended up being really funny. And then Zeke was just I think Keys was just like, yeah, fuck it, and just did it backwards.
And that's not the first time he's done something. He's used Zeke either, which is pretty funny. I think we had him call himself Zeke in some other pre-show. I forget exactly one.
Maybe,
Fu- yeah. Spike. So Spike and Keys had their names instantly. Like Spike _SDA was just
Oh, that was too good.
perfect. It was so good being the old school runner, and then Zeke was Zeke, and I'm pretty proud of myself because I named Feasel A. I named Fu the donation incentive. I wasn't sure if I named you Jay, son of Hob, or put that.
No, I
initial
definitely
thing
wrote
in there,
down Jay,
but,
son of Hob.
Yeah.
Uh,
Fu's was pretty tough because originally
Yeah.
we had, I think, Fufelia was a placeholder name there. We just couldn't figure out something. So I was like, why don't we just make it a donation incentive? And then that made like, oh, we could just do Lank and Lonk and Lonk. And then that contributed to a joke later on, which was perfect.
Yeah,
so-
because like Fu is the no reset runner. Originally like Fu's class was kind of like merged a few different things. We were gonna have like a casual player who doesn't know anything about speed runs, but then it turned more into no reset runner / like marathon runner, so more about like preparing backups and doing like just completing runs instead of constantly like resetting around the best RNG. So it was kind of hard to like nail that character down, but I feel like we got it to a really great place and ended up being able to work a lot of the character into like critical moments. But Spike's was just we knew from like minute one that Spike was going to be the washed up veteran runner. Or we at least knew somebody was going to be, and then it was just instantly, it just, once somebody said Spike SDA, it just made too much sense. So yeah, that one was fun. Dylan or Caveman wrote a lot about that one. A lot for the no reset, or I mean the veteran runner, which was really funny.
All right.
Well, yeah, we could carry on here, but
Yeah, sure.
Outside the tavern. Well, find that. It's an ape escape! Be sure to catch Ape Escape 2 any % by Liquid Squid late Monday night.
hold on, pause real quick. I know we're gonna end up pausing a bunch of it because we gotta set up a lot of the stuff. But the whole like, so one of the big things too about that got us so excited for this idea is we realized like we could just make a ton of references to games pretty easily in D&D. So that became our goal. Normally we're really big on like we want to highlight a bunch of runs, especially things that maybe some people don't know about, and explain a little bit about them. And in this one, we thought it was more interesting to just cram in like as many references as we could to things from the schedule and let them be a little bit more like Easter eggs while having a few that are a bit more like pointed out. And so we started off like hammering in these with these kind of longer, the breaking the fourth wall, look at the camera, be sure to catch Ape Escape 2. Then we kind of taper that off a bit and then start bringing it back for comedic effect. But early on, we wanted people to start like, we wanted to try to get people to start thinking about like, could that be a reference? Could that thing they're saying? Because like even me, Jay, son of Hob, a scholar of the first sin, was just a reference to Dark Souls 2 being in the marathon. And yeah, so we go really heavy on that in kind of the first half and the earlier parts of the pre-show. And then later on, the turns to camera get a bit quicker or they don't happen as much. And we just kind of list the games and stuff.
Yeah, and so Ape Escape, you know, this was another pickup
Angry
shot
apes crash
that we
into the
had
tavern,
putting in there.
breaking
So if you really look close, but most of it's cut off by the omnibar that we have during GDQ. So you're seeing the uncut version. You're seeing the full frame here. So the apes don't line up exactly, but they were good enough. And originally, these were going to be a barrel of monkeys. And I had a barrel of monkeys in my closet that I was supposed to bring, but I forgot to. So we ended up doing this. But, you know, in an alternate universe where I remembered that, we'd have a barrel of monkeys on the stage here. But I think this works as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because it keeps it all consistent with everything.
It worked out that Scent brought a giant chest of minifigs. Like if we had
I wasn't
only had
lying
a
when I
couple,
said war chest. Yeah,
yeah,
it was a literal
if we had
war
only
chest.
had a couple to pick from, it would have been a lot harder. We were trying to think of how we were going to make it work. And we were like, maybe animal crackers have apes in them as well, have like monkeys in them. And thankfully we were able to just find some figurines. And I actually think it worked out better than the barrel of monkeys would have done.
Yeah, I do
because
like this more.
Yeah, because it could kind of fit with each of our characters, especially for the beginning, and then it gets more ridiculous as we go on.
through the eastern wall. The vast majority of the tavern's patrons back away quickly, terrified by the return of the escape.
ADF is a
of the
great
apes.
dungeon master.
The apes look towards the
Yeah,
three of you.
ADF wrote
Search
most
for
of his like
roll initiative.
expository lines. We knew the broad beats, but
Yeah,
nobody
so
wrote a bunch.
outside of one dice roll later on, we did not care at all about what the dices ended up as. It'd just be too much.
Yeah.
So
Although
don't look
I
too
think-
closely at the dice. It's fine.
But I think Keys actually got like an 18 or 20 or something here because you can hear it in ADF's response and you can see Keys' reaction that like Keys actually was going to like would have actually won initiative here.
I'm not sure. Was this the
Beat
tick that
you
was
up
used?
first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. You can see he's looking at it. He's like, oh, we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. I didn't even know this part, so that was a good addition there.
So I
Yeah, he's just like,
Yeah, even
"Whoa,
the
oh,
wow."
all right, yeah.
Yeah.
That was not part of the script. That was
No.
spoilers. There's a script. Oh my god, who would have thought? But yeah, that's
it's
that's
kind
so
of awkward.
good.
I don't know what to do. I'm a randomizer runner, and this time around I started with an empty sack as my weapon.
Sure. You successfully plop the bag over the ape's head that is directly in front of you. He's temporarily blinded and begins to flail about randomly. You take 5 points of damage.
How though?
Jay, your turn.
I cheer Zeke on.
This was a good bit from you.
and explain what he's doing.
God damn it.
Okay, Zeke, you gain 4 temporary hit points. Jay, the apes run up to you and begin mercilessly
I'm a
beating
little
you.
sad. Real quick, I'm a little sad that there was. I did try to every time that he, I was like, oh yeah, cool, good, go keys. Like I give you the temporary hit points, and then 8F would just say like, the apes came up and started mercilessly beating you, and I would every time I was just like I tried to just give some reaction, some like oh god like face, and we never ended up cutting over to it, but I was like, oh, that one was a little. I think it would have been funny.
As a group, you take 15 points of damage.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you do not want to see him use the gang up technique. It wastes so much time.
I still hate my
hey,
take there, but it worked out. I like the line. So. But yeah, we had to do a good job of hammering in all these characters as quickly as possible. So that was what like we kind of extended commentator to not just be like somebody who knows a lot about the runs and talks about other people, but we extended it to like, but also doesn't do any of them themselves. like does not know how to run the game themselves. They just know how to talk about other people running it. So we just like kind of amplify that. You kind of do that when you're trying to take a character and turn it into like a bit of a stereotype or whatever. You just amplify everything about it, make them one note in a way.
Turn, what you got?
I will attempt to critical hit all of them at the same time.
Crits are super unlikely, but okay, give it a shot. Oh, that's a 1 crit out of 5. That's great.
No, that is not good enough. Reset.
So we ended up with Feasel resetting, just saying reset. We toyed with a couple ideas. I think one was just like a big red button he would mash that said reset on
Yeah.
it. And one thing we were thinking is just like, because Spike has a nut button, it's like, let's just bring that, tape over the nut, and call
Take
it a
the
reset
batteries
button.
out.
yeah, and he just would smash it every single time. We ended up not doing that, but
I think it was a barrel of monkey situation. I think he
it
forgot.
was
to
a
bring
barrel
it.
of monkey situation.
Yeah, but then the other thing too was we originally one of the classes we were considering having was a tasser. We were gonna have like somebody be, a tool assisted speedrunner, and so their whole thing was they were gonna get like perfect RNG for everything. Like they were just going to, they would have gotten all, like they would have crit every single monkey instantly without having to try, and that was going to be part of the joke. But while we were trying to figure it out, it was kind of, it just worked out better writing a no reset runner as opposed to a tasser. I don't remember exactly what the specifics were, but we ended up kind of losing it at one point. We thought maybe it was going to be like a previous campaign person we referenced or something who just kept like, we felt like they were cheating or something as a joke, but then it eventually just never really made it to the script.
Wow, 2 crits this time. Okay.
Reset.
3 crits. Oh my god.
Reset.
Okay, yeah, no crits this time, and you've used up all your resets. So.
But that's what Mitch would do in Mario 3 if he didn't get past all 3 hand encounters. Mitch Flower Power is the last runner of the marathon. Check it out.
Dropping the music in and out is so good for those. I love it.
Yeah. And I guess at this point, I have 2 things I want to talk about. First, this shot, ADF is standing up. That does not work for any of the actions ADF actually does. So anytime something is placed on the table, that was gone. That was all shot previous to this, because the height difference is just too much.
Yeah.
So he was like trying to lean over it and then do stuff. So we ended up shooting all that separately of him placing things on the board and all that.
Like ADF is fairly tall, and so like this DM shield is on a cardboard box right now.
it really is.
It's on a cardboard box that we just kept out of frame. But that was the only way to make it like be high enough to where it made sense for his body, so that we could see it in camera, but also just we had to work around that. Anytime he's trying to place something on the table, we just had him place it like on the box, and we cut to a close-up of it.
Dire. You hear a rumbling from outside the tavern walls. 2 more promising heroes.
That was a pickup shot we did. It took us a surprising long time to do it. Just to get them to place the figures on there. This is the first part I want to talk about music, because you can't hear it too well in this. But yeah, like Hobbs mentioned, me and Musical Daredevil, who is a fellow interview producer on the team, we spent quite a bit of time making music for this, probably more than we should have, but we were just having fun, having a good time doing it. And
Yeah, we had kind of like a short edit turnaround on this one,
Mhm.
like a shorter timeline. So there's some stuff that like we wanted to do, but we just didn't have time in the edit. And then there's a few things like the music being a bit lower than we would have liked that just kind of was because it came down to the wire.
Yeah, I hope I don't blow people's ears out. Heads up, just in case. I'm opening up the music file. Yeah, so this is the battle theme that we made that's used twice. I just love how it turned out. It's only
Yeah,
one
when I
people
when I
good.
heard all this music, I was like, this is incredible because I really thought we were just gonna have to go find some like royalty free music or something, and the fact that we actually have talented musicians really helps. And I think this is the first time, really. Well, I think we've had like one other time where Daredevil wrote something for a pre-show,
Yeah,
but this is the first time
like-
we had like a lot of
Mhm.
stuff. So I think that's just something that we're gonna have in our. It's cool to have that in our toolbox going forward, knowing that that's like an option.
This
So
is
good.
the part I wrote right here.
God, it's so good. Like it totally sounds like it's out of a just
Yeah,
out of a
and then it
random
repeats from
fantasy
there.
game or something.
So the way we came up with all this stuff is so David had an initial idea of putting in some like musical references in here, and I'm not sure if you knew this, Hobbs, but our initial chord structure for this was based off of AGDQ because AG and D are all relative nice chords, but Q was like way out there. So we kind of had to like improvise that. We didn't end up using it exactly like that, but we did try to get that in there. And
That's funny. I didn't know that.
and that's kind of how the whole thing started. And then I got a whole bunch of like reference stuff. I got like some things from World of Warcraft. I got some things from Lord of the Rings. Like, okay, here's like the kind of vibe we're going for. And I sent David like, okay, let's get some these instruments here. Let's do like this kind of build up. And so I was like very conceptual with like the shape of things, and then he would go orchestrate it and do all that. And then kind of like with the end of the battle theme here, so like we needed a little bit more variation. So I went to my piano and just like wrote down like the main chord structure for it, and I came up with a melody. It's like this one, the little thing at the end, kind of like was inspired a little bit by Donkey Kong Country 2. If you could potentially hear a little bit of the influence there, but that was kind of based off of that. And yeah, I really like how it turned out, and I'm super happy with that.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, real quick addendum on that. It was just like we were playing around with a few different ideas for like kind of how the general theme of the like the environment of the world would be, but we pretty quickly landed on everything was going to be as kind of traditional fantasy as possible, so that way we could focus more in on the speedrun classes and stuff like that and the references and whatnot, and everything else just would feel like very classic fantasy parody. That like we had all these kinds of like grand ideas. Maybe we were gonna just like pull out in the control room at some point and people are like playing a D&D game of people playing I don't remember. We had like a whole lot of really kind of ridiculous ideas, but we settled in on like, let's just wherever possible, like if we're not making a reference to something, let's just make it as like bread and butter fantasy. That's why it's a reset ranger, right? Like the commentator is just like a caster summoner kind of class. Like it's really basic.
Yeah, and even like one last thing before I continue playing, even like this scene like this, it's used for like 2 seconds in the pre-show, and we made sure it made sense. They're at a table, it's consistent to the dialogue that's been going on. There's like the car, they put the apes by the door and all that stuff. So
and that is east according to whatever we picked as north, because they thrust through the eastern wall.
Yep, we spent so much time keeping this consistent.
Are heading towards the fray.
And we had to rebuild this between days.
I throw a bunch of nets to the party.
Oh yeah, because we shot this
What
over
will
2
you
days.
use then?
Yep.
Don't worry about me. I've got my trusty slingshot. Okay, DM, so first off, I'm going to double jump. Then while pulling back my slingshot, I'm going to lay down.
Okay, that's a pretty advanced technique. Give me an athletics check.
Oh, baller. That's great. Okay.
And that is a 1.
It looks like a 1, yeah.
Yeah, that is 100% a 1.
Yeah.
This is where we first see Spike just has a single dice. And it doesn't make
yeah.
any sense, but it's great. It's just so
for
dumb.
anyone, for anyone who doesn't know, the action Spike's describing is actually a specific glitch from Ape Escape. So that was kind of like the whole idea. Also, the voice Spike's doing as like the grizzled veteran or whatever. I was just like, give me your best, just like I've been around for for generations, all the newcomers go, show up and go or whatever. And we ended up landing a little bit more comedic with it as well. But we were kind of all considering doing like voices and stuff, or it got toyed with, and then it very quickly became obvious that we're not all as good at doing voices, or that it just wasn't as like necessarily needed. So Spike kind of is the only one who ends up doing all this like in character, out of character, different voice thing. I tried to do the same kind of thing with my like pacing and like tone of voice or sense of urgency, as we'll see way later, like near the end. But it's always something we're trying to like keep in mind, is whether you're talking in character or as a player at the table.
All right, so watch this. Everyone can do it, I swear to God. I'm going to start rapidly rising into the air,
I love
and then
this.
I'm
This is
going to
great.
clip through the tavern roof.
I forget if it was here or somewhere else where Spike
Don't
just
worry, he does that
hurled
all
one
the
of these
time.
figures
Oh,
off
I'm
camera.
sorry, you can call
I
me-
tried to find the clip, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, right, I need to ask the
Sent
host,
wasn't
have you
happy.
won the bid war?
It was a close battle between Lonk and Lunk, but it looks like Lonk won.
And that is the first host of the marathon. I think
Yep.
we got
That
there.
was
we made
Zenithir,
sure we made sure that whoever was hosting the first run would record that line. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So while we were filming this, I just read it every time, and my rate of speech for it was a little bit different. I was a bit faster than they were. So we actually also had a line that was originally it started out as just refreshing one more time. It was a close race between Locke and Locke. And so unfortunately we had to cut out that first half to make the pacing work, because we didn't have other like reaction shots or footage to cut to here really that we thought we did. But it was just funny. I missed the just refreshing one more time. That was such a like we were doing that to really sell that it's like a host during GDQ.
Yeah, that
Alrighty,
was
then
good.
you can call me Long. Hello. My class is a no resetters, so it's all about having backup strats and finding safe routes. Also, I brought some extra backup nets in case any of them break. So I'm going to go ahead and help round up the apes.
I've got Lonk, Lunk, and
With
Lank
nets
all
in
covered.
hand, you are all able to
Yeah.
round up the apes with ease, but the afroed man is nowhere to be found.
I crash back down through the ceiling like a boss. Thanks to me and my 2012 strats.
We're all just
That
like
out-of-bounds
unimpressed.
ape is toast.
Yeah.
Spike _SDA. Veteran runner of this parts. I've seen it all, done it all, gotten record in it all. Back when I was the only runner. I used to submit my adventures to Speed Dragon's archive on VHS. I'm sure things haven't changed that much in the last few years.
As Spike SDA
All right, so here's where we're going to talk about what a VHS is now.
Speed Dragon's Archive. I think I came up with that one.
You
that was
did.
so funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, once I came up with that, I was like, oh, okay, we got it. Now he has to be Spike SDA for sure.
Yeah, it was just too perfect to get it all there.
As he removes his hood, he reveals himself to have the head of a hawk and the body
Tony
of a
Hawk.
man. He sort of looks like Tony Hawk. He begins to speak to all of you. Greetings, friends.
So-
It still cracks me up.
So the first time ADF pulled this out, and I really wish we had the deleted scene for this. Everybody just lost it. We were done. It was so
None of-
good.
He had not done this like this voice at all until just like kind of we were rehearsing and stuff, and he just did it, and we were like, it doesn't sound like Tony Hawk. We all know it doesn't sound anything like Tony Hawk, but we were like, it's so just hilarious California that we have to do it. It's too funny.
Yeah, it was basically the Californian sketch from SNL, which I know ADF is a big fan of, and I'm a big fan of. So yeah, it's like perfect.
Once he said, I think the main thing that really killed us all was when he said Bjorderlands. It was too funny. We were
Yeah,
just
that
"Hey,
wasn't
we
there."
have to keep it.
And we just kept it. Yeah.
My name is Tony. I hail from a distant land known as
Yeah, Bill
Pro
and Ted
Skater
too, yeah.
HD.
People in
Where a great
California do
darkness
talk like this,
befell
but
my
not
people.
everybody.
I have traveled far
Only a
to
small
warn
amount
the
of people.
heroes of this land that if you do not act, you will suffer the same dark fate. Seeing your work capturing those apes, I know that you have the potential to prevent the Worms Armageddon by Ruffled Bricks on Thursday night.
Uh-oh.
They're not but whispers around these parts, but out past the Borderlands, in my
That one right
homeland, the worms are not to be trifled with. And I fear not only
love
that
the
they've begun to
Borderlands.
move here, but that this encounter with the escaped apes might just be the first in a long line of evil deeds. Now, you must travel to the Dark Tower, where your quest will no doubt evolve. If you'll excuse me, I have to go to a...
Oh yeah, yeah. Just real quickly, part of what was kind of difficult to write this one, and what's been a bit difficult, I'd say, about some of the pre-recorded ones that are more of a complete story instead of like a series of just sections or sketches or whatever, has been how like getting our main core story beats down, because like we can make up sections of video games we want to talk about from the schedule and talk about them all day. That's what we've done for years with the pre-show. So we're like good at that part at this point. But actually writing like a cohesive story to go on top of that, we had to do the same thing with Deathloop, where it was like we struggled for a long time to figure out like what was our how did we get from conflict to resolution? What was our core conflict? Like that kind of thing. And I did not like writing in school. I think a lot of us are not really
Well,
like writers.
luckily, a lot of the people on the pre-show do have a good time with this. And what we did for this one,
no, I like doing it for this.
yeah.
That's the funny thing, is like it's pulled it back out for me. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what we did for this one is we kind of had like, we wrote down just, here's our story beats. It was like, okay, we need like a call to action, we need a threat to overcome, and we just had like generic stuff like that that we would fill in, and that with stuff from the schedule.
Yeah.
So, and just slowly came together. This here was the call to action, basically. We wanted to have a start where, just introduce the characters with the battles. Like, okay, easy start. That was done. And then we had ADF come in with Tony Hawk here to give our characters something
Our
to go
quest.
strive for.
They needed a
quest.
We had so many scenes, venues, enemy concepts, and other ideas before we ever knew why the hell, like what was the actual adventure. We didn't know what the adventure was, but we were just like, we know they're going to go to Stardew Valley at some point. We know they're going to go to a shopkeep, and we pretty quickly decided that was going to be Scottobozo's Up Your Arsenal.
Yeah.
Because we were like, we have all these great ideas for weapons from games, so like we know that they're going to do these things, but we don't know why. we don't know why they're going to do anything. So that's what we had to kind of like think about. It was really tough to just figure out. It's like, okay, well, let's just go. We came up with like a lot of ideas. Maybe they had to do with the AGDQ, maybe they had to do with speedrunning more, and then we eventually, like I said earlier, kind of came back to, no, let's keep what we can, kind of very simple fantasy tropes, because it made it way easier for everything else to stand out on top of it.
And failed to get recognized in a public space.
He looked like...
Nah, it couldn't be.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Well, it seems like we've got quite the
I love
ordeal
that
ahead
failed
of
to get
us.
recognized.
Why don't we go stock up on some extra things for backup items? It's always
Yeah,
good to
just
have.
food taking us to the shop
Need
made the
items.
most sense.
We'll just reset if we get any random encounters.
No, what do you mean? Then we might have to do things again. It's just good to try to adventure all in one go. Look, there's a shop right over there.
This was very much about like establishing Foo's character, getting kind of we've found that Fu is a no reset runner. Feasel like resets a lot. We tried to build like kind of a natural antagonistic relationship between the two of them, so that was part of establishing that here.
Yeah, and it's shown like not with dialogue but visually throughout the entire show.
Yeah,
shops have a ton of randomized checks, and the last seed that I did,
I think we had some weird audio issues
Oh,
here.
yeah.
We had some weird audio for a little bit on the first day, and then we sorted it out. But yeah.
Yeah, so some things sound a little bit weird, but that's why we tried our best to make it as listenable.
Most of it landed.
This Friday with Uncle Reggie and Bash Prime.
A small business catches your eye amongst the mini market stalls. Scottobozo's Up Your Arsenal seems to be plentifully stocked.
Runner
with
game.
fascinating
Yep,
goodies.
perfect. That's all we need. I forget where we got these sheets, but
Ooh, a
it was
power
FedEx.
washer.
We got it where I printed the map. They just had them.
Oh, yeah, we'll have more to talk about the map later.
That's
That was
perfect.
Yeah,
that was
Caveman
fun
Those are
saw
the
'em,
mistakes we make during
and it
our
was like,
quest.
we're buying these.
This will be a 6-player co-op between Amerlin, Bullets, Big Law, Acadial, Angelic Knight, and Enigma Requiem. They'll be
This is
getting
probably
the
our
Power
most
Wash Simulator in
involved.
under 18 minutes on Thursday. So I
Like,
feel like that's a
Segue.
good buy.
Call out. Yeah,
Whoa,
if you want
this is a really good
just real
seed.
quick, like every time Fu was talking about Power Wash Simulator during practice, like during rehearsals, it was always tough to get through all the names. And then when it actually came time to shoot it at the table on her side, one take. Like it's just one take, no issue whatsoever. I don't even think we did a safety take. It was just so
It was
good.
just done. Yeah, like in the
Yeah.
can, as Caveman would say.
Yeah.
Astral chain for 2 gold. That's a good omen for Ratu's run on Tuesday.
Oh, and they have a shield. That'll be handy.
Why would you want that? That seems so weak.
Well, no, it's for shield dashing. Haven't you seen Dragon Blitz play Symphony of the Night? Well, you can this afternoon.
There's so many.
Feasel is such a good like deadpan character. He's always playing that role in a
Yeah.
pre-show, and something about his voice, his presentation, it just works, and I love it.
Feasel also inexplicably ends up writing the funniest line of like every pre-show. And in this one, we'll get to it later, but to me, the funniest part of the whole thing is not even a line. It's just something he did that was not in the script, and it was so funny. But yeah,
Now, there's one thing I don't want to say what it was, but Feasel, said something.
No.
PG-13, yeah, but
yeah,
it was hilarious. Just take my word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's so many lines from this pre-show too, because I had to watch it back so many times that and we did so many takes and everything and rehearsals that I've just like got memorized. And Feasel's just well you can on Thursday or whatever. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
A bow. Back in my day, we could cut down a tree in Breath of the Wild and use a bow just like this one.
Remember this
to
strat.
redirect the stasis storage and fly across all of Hyrule.
Well, they don't really do that anymore.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that new strat on Ustream. Bow and time
Ustream.
bouncing, right?
Don't they use Blitz these days?
What the heck is Bliss?
Well,
Well, you see, what you want to do here is smuggle
Just having Hobbs want to be like the overly controlling commentator also.
Yeah. Well, I had to like memorize this, and I know nothing about Breath of the Wild, so I believe it's we see what you want to do here is smuggle a bomb room pickup into a bow lift in order to transition into a smuggle slide. And we didn't get like it trails off before then, but I had to say that so many times.
a bomb room pickup with a bow lift in order to transition.
As you make your final purchases, a
was like, I don't know what any of this
confidence
means,
finds
but
you
whatever.
to set out towards this mysterious dark tower. After traveling for what feels like some time, it becomes pretty apparent that you don't really know your way to this supposed dark tower, right? So taking in your surroundings, you've clearly stumbled into some kind of wooded forest. Locals call it the Lost Woods.
cue
But
in
the
the
scene before
Breath of
you
the
is
Wild
murky.
music.
It's hard
Yep.
to make out.
Zelda music
Please
comes
put
in.
on your 3D glasses now.
Oh, the 3D glasses.
This was so dumb. And
Yeah.
I was not sold on this at all until it came together. Because I'm like, what are we doing with all this crap? Everybody was putting them on in different directions and all this stuff. It was like,
Yeah.
how much did it cost for us to fund the purchase of these 3D glasses?
Oh, $7 for 50. Like I could have spent 6 for 12, and I was like, I'm buying the cheapest shit possible so that we have 50 of them. And I'm pretty sure Your Name Here, one of the other members of the production team, took them. Like I'm pretty sure she has them. But yeah, it was the idea here was like we wanted to make a reference to the fact that it's not OOT, it's OOT 3D. And originally we were going to have like a 2D flat. Well, we actually still use it. We have a 2D like flat tree. You can actually see it at the bottom there, although it's hidden by the omnibar in the real thing. And we replace it with a 3D tree. And we had some line that just wasn't really working. It was oh, it's in 3D now or something. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't working. And then we somehow like Spike and I were the first ones in a call, and this was where we were picking up from the previous day, and somehow 3D glasses came up, and it just ended up like we figured it out from there.
Yeah, you'll notice like
Yeah, here's
yeah,
the
this
swap
swap.
from 2D to 3D.
Perfect. I left my 3DS at home. Hope Ben Stevens 56 remembers his on Wednesday.
All right, this is easy. Follow me. I walked through the forest in this exact pattern. Left, down, right, left, and I end up exactly at
Where you started.
what? Well, that's impossible. I remember the exact pattern.
So yeah, Spike forgetting to be in character. That's why he's coughing here. If it wasn't too
Yeah.
obvious, it just works
Yeah.
so well.
Spike forgot to be in character. Like he was written, he was supposed to be in character that whole time, but he just forgot. He remembered halfway through and he switched and it was so funny. We just kept it
Yeah.
that way.
I remember the exact pattern. Oh, I'm used to everything in backwalking. Yeah, I've got nothing.
All right, anyway.
Yeah, so
Backwalker joke took a bit to
yeah,
figure out too, but it was
Keys-
funny.
Keys and Fees, poor guys, trying to get these 3D glasses over their actual glasses. Keys being the meme lord, just put them under the glasses, and Fees really isn't even wearing them. But hey, it's good enough. And yeah, Hobbs, you're the odd man out here. You're wearing them the other direction.
Anyone else got any bright ideas?
I mean, the randomizer removes.
So I'm pretty
this
sure I'm the
puzzle.
only one who folded them correctly.
Yeah. There are clear indications of how to fold these.
Yeah.
And our pre-show team couldn't get them all consistent.
Well, I haven't done it in like 12 years.
All right, well, clearly what we need is some kind of guide to light the path for us or something, right? Does anyone have anything?
Yeah, we're like, we need to find a way out of the
right,
Lost
I have a
Woods.
summoning
Took a
spell.
bit to figure out.
Stand back. I'm going to try something. I wave my arms in the air.
The stupid Doctor Strange summoning thing. Hobbs was so adamant about getting this in here. Like, I approve of it, but
I was like, it should just be something so stupid. I'm just gonna do the Doctor Strange thing, and I'm just gonna do it every time because, again, it's supposed to be like I don't know what I'm doing, but I've seen people do it, so I'm just gonna do what I've seen people do. It's
Or
like the whole
cast
point of my
summons.
character.
Okay, a whirl of blue smoke begins to emit from Jay's hands and puffs out into the clearing. As it begins to spin and spin, it appears to be, yes, it's Sonic, but he appears really beast-like. It's the werehog.
But Spec is only doing the day stages in Sonic Unleashed.
With that, the Sonic the werehog disappears into a puff of black smoke.
You done this before?
I've watched someone do it before while sitting on a couch behind them and talking about it.
Great.
It doesn't look that hard. Let me try again.
That's
Okay,
why we had to spend so much time on like hammering in character tropes early, so that way we can have a line like that just kind of work. Doesn't make sense. I'm on the couch.
Two Mortal Kombat Shaolin monks appear before the group, and they begin to attack each other. It's truly a spectacle.
One more try.
Okay, the two fighters begin to morph and change shape into two chipmunks. The two rescue rangers run to the left, and Chip picks up Dale and throws him, and then Dale picks up Chip and throws him, and so on. It's weird, but it feels fast. After what feels like a little while, they finally make what looks like their final path choice. And it looks like maybe they want you to try their tech too.
Okay. Then I will attempt to lift Spike SDA and throw him.
Wait, what?
Okay, can you make a strength check for me, please?
Okay.
I just love them just doing it, and like Spike's just having to, like, wait, I don't know if I'm cool with it, but they're just already going. It doesn't matter.
yeah, I actually think this is the one where Spike chucked his figure.
I think it might have
somewhere.
been, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could find it.
You get to hear a little bit of Spike do. Spike changed up the timing with when he did his like goofy, like Goofy from Disney, like little sound effect here, and so we ended up having to keep it in twice because of the way it worked out. It's funny.
Yeah. While we were shooting these 3D scenes, not actually in 3D, just with the 3D glasses.
I know where you're gonna go. Yeah.
And there were a couple instances where we started, and it's like, wait, we need to have 3D glasses on for this. Okay, cut. Put them on. Get them going. So I forget if we were doing pickup shots or something like that, but I think it was actually when we were shooting 8F side of this. We
Maybe,
had to
yeah.
redo one of them because we forgot to put the glasses on. So-
I thought you were going to talk about how for the script, a lot of the like some of the people's lines in the script were just highlighted different colors, so that way they could easily like catch them. And we don't have it when you're on camera, but like for those of us that are behind the camera, we're just reading off the script for a lot of it. And with the 3D glasses on, there were some like colors of the highlighting that you just could not see. Like I'm pretty sure it was like Keys's just completely would just give you a headache or something.
Yeah.
Whatever color his stuff was highlighted in, it was just like I can't look at this anymore.
Yeah, the
It
funny
was so
thing
funny.
as well, completely unrelated to the pre-show, but we were chilling in the GDQ studio and watching the Hotfix show coming up, so we would see like all the banners come out, like the Black Lives Matter banner, Stop Asian Hate banner. Then when it got to the the trans one, those colors do not work well with 3D glasses, and we probably spent like I want to say like 10-15 minutes just laughing our asses off because Keys was like looking at it, was just having a good time, like wait, let me see. Then we put it off, and then like everybody had the same reaction.
You gotta
It was
wait
just
for it
funny.
to come back around the rotation. Yeah, it was funny.
18.
Excellent. You launch Spike SDA into the next century. And Spike, as you fly like a dart
Yeah,
through
there
the
it
air,
is.
you
There's-
land
Yeah.
hard outside the forest.
All right,
There's
everyone,
the goofy
line
one.
up. It's throwing time.
All right, one by one, Lonk is able to fling each of you outside the forest walls.
Wait, how's Lonk getting out?
Seconds later, you see Lonk gracefully land nearby.
Well, you know Takate, the runner for Chippendale Rescue Rangers on Thursday. He taught me how to throw myself.
Part
So
of that
sad.
whole like line was we didn't know how Fu was gonna get out initially, like actually while writing it, and so we just wrote that in. And the second was we realized we hadn't actually said the runner or the game exactly during that section, so we were like, all right, well, she threw herself, whatever.
Yeah,
It doesn't
perfect.
need to make sense. It just needs to make sense in universe.
If it's funny, all right, we're good.
There is an
Yeah.
old stone pedestal, and on top of said pedestal is a map to the Dark Tower! Yes!
All right, the map. So a lot of fun stuff with this map. So if you did not know, the GDQ artist LLK, who does a lot of the banners, the emote arts, a lot of the Hotfix show art, concept art for that, we talked to her and said, hey, can you draw us a D&D map? And she's like,
To
"Sure."
be clear, she before every pre-show, LK loves doing like goofy stuff for the pre-show so much that she will like approach me like weeks before we're doing filming or something and just be like, hey, do you have anything really stupid you need me to draw for the pre-show? And she like wants to do it so much. And so this one I was like, I think we're gonna need this map, and I was gonna just find some random fantasy map. It'd be perfect if this map was like very originally we were even thinking more like fantasy sepia tone and stuff than this, but like we wanted it to all be everything on the map is just references to games from the schedule. So there's stuff that like you're not even going to be able to make out even in the montage, really, like stuff that you just won't see. But there's so many just various areas, because I basically gave LK this long brainstorming list of like, here's all of the places we were considering in our brainstorming. We're like, all the places we knew we could pull from games in the schedule. Here's like the 6 that have to be on here and need to make some kind of like little logical path to them. But outside of those, go wild. Like put whatever you want from this brainstorming list and stuff. And so she did. she crushed it. And
Yeah.
we actually had 2 different versions of the map too. Phant, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so the version you see right now is the low resolution map, which only exists because when we went to go print it out, they said the file was too big. So what happened was they down-resed
No.
it to something like, wait, what actually happened? I thought
No,
that
it
was
wasn't even that. It was I like sent them the wrong one. It was LK had sent me a preview of the map, like a screenshot of it. And I thought it was just an upload of the thing of the map. So it was a lower resolution image to begin with. She sent me the main file as well, but I just like sent them the first one initially. And we always knew we wanted one that didn't have labels on it anyways. So we were gonna just get 2 regardless. But it worked out that this one being the lower resolution one, you can't tell from this distance on camera. So we're like, this is just gonna be our main one, and that way if it ends up like a little torn up or something, it's not a big deal for when we shoot the montage later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we had our close-up map and we had our regular map. It was pretty cool. One funny thing is that we found out when we got the map is happened to turn out that the 6 things we wanted to shoot were like all on the edges of the screen and very close to each other. So we had quite the fun time making it look like they were further apart and going on a long journey. Like Outer Wilds, Rainbow Road, The Ladder, and Dracula's Castle were all in this corner. And we're 4 separate things that we talked about in the montage.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like, according to the map, we have to go through Celeste Mountain.
Where's that?
As you
So
look up from the
if you pause, here's the big continuity error where when we were filming my side, I grabbed the map and I like kind of put it away as thinking like, oh, cool, we've looked at it. Now we're going to like take it with us, right? And I put it away, and we did not realize that when we were filming everybody else's parts. So we put the map back, and we even went so far as to remember that I was holding it up there at that one point. And there was one point where I am like on my knees, kneeling underneath, like I'm like down like this, like kneeling underneath a camera so that I can hold the map slightly up so that the edges of it will just be like, it'll be obvious that it's up. I don't even think we ended up using a take from that.
I don't think we did either. It's all been
But
stuff that's on the ground.
Yeah, but it was funny that we did remember that and we cared about it. And yet I took the map, and we should have never had the map in again after this point anyways. But we just cut around it, so it worked out.
Invisible mountain.
If you're not looking for it, you're not going to
5
see it.
feet in front of you.
Yeah.
It looks like a tree.
So the map's here.
Well,
Nope,
if we want
no
to
map.
climb over
like
it, it looks like we need Lively
Yeah,
Raccoon's
yeah.
hook.
But it looks
Any
like it's just
percent.
slid to their side or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
The Foo's line, it looks like a tree too, is because the Celeste run is it was a like mod, a Celeste mod, and apparently like it's a big tree instead of a mountain. So we were like, oh, it's a big mountain, but it looks like a tree for some reason. And that was just we wanted to hide a few Easter eggs where the runner of the game or like the people that were excited for that game would get the reference, and even if nobody else did, at least they'd get they'd get a smile out of it.
Right. To advance. Or I can use my astral chain to destroy the mountain. Or I could go out of logic and we can go under the mountain.
Under a mountain? How do you think of that?
Well,
Out of
I mean,
logic for the rando runner.
David TKI and Lukey 13 are going to do it in Shovel Knight Dig.
I've got an older technique to get through the mountain. I actually made a forum post about this back in 2008.
Oh, forums. What are
You're
those?
welcome to find it. All right, this is a classic Bomberman 64 situation. All you gotta do is find a corner of the mountain, throw down a bomb.
I love
bing,
the
bada boom,
exchange
you're through the
between
mountain.
Spike and ADF here.
I do that.
Okay, I'm gonna need like just like any kind of. Could you do a bomb clip check roll for me, please?
Bang it.
Another one, by the way. Just every take we ended up using with Spike was a 1. So, clearly the most powerful number he was actually going for. When a D6, I guess 1's what you're going for.
Banging.
Okay, I walk up to the mountain and grab a bomb and
Okay.
Again, very important to hammer in those characters early because now we can just have Feasel roll over and over, and you know exactly like what his character, like why his character is doing that, and and trying to get the audio just right of him rolling while Foo is talking here to make it clear that he's still going. That was actually kind of tricky.
Yeah, we don't have him rolling the whole time, but like early on, you could still hear off screen the dice rolls.
He rolls until she dies,
Okay,
basically.
well, I'm gonna give it a try too. So we can first try, maybe first try.
Oh.
Yeah, you can
my
still hear it
God.
there.
Lonk, you take
ADF's delivery here is great.
400 points of damage. You die.
That's when the roll stops. And then
Yeah. So, Feasel shrugging and rolling again there was not what we originally planned. He just came up
No.
with that.
it was so funny. I'm so glad I didn't break, because if you play just like a little bit, just barely anymore, I glare at him in character here, and I was so glad I didn't break, because it was so funny that like that we knew we had to go with it as soon as he did it. That's what I was saying. Like, that is my favorite quote unquote line in the pre-show Somehow Fiesel always gets the funniest shit.
Yeah, we don't have the rolling
Oh,
here,
okay.
but
No,
we couldn't
we're
get
good.
everything
My
perfect.
class has an ability that we can load a safety
I think
save
we
in the
also
event-
just realized we were kind of tired of it. Like you needed it for the joke earlier so that it could go away and then come back again, but you didn't need to keep it going here. So it wasn't so much missed as just like it didn't need to be here.
an untimely death. Okay, so we're okay. But the only difference is that I have to change the letter in my name. So I guess meet Lank.
We had to actually keep track of which figure was which, and we ended up going
Yeah.
back to previous things real quick. Okay, which one was Long? Which one was Lank? To make sure we had it right when we did some pickup shots later on.
And this
Yeah.
time I'm just going to take my Terrarian pickaxe to go around.
It's an understandable mistake. You see, it's only a
And now because he's
two-frame
on
window
camera,
to
he's
be
gotta
able to
roll
push
again.
yourself into the wall, and then it's another one-frame window to actually clip through to the other side.
Really like Phant and
And-
JHobz out there again.
Made it through. First try.
All right, this is my time to shine.
Phant's cameo.
It's the montage. Yeah, so we held like a little mini auditions for this, where we just sent in voice clips. And thanks for picking me, JHobz. I'm
Yeah.
glad you did.
I still wish we could have gotten like a little, like either gotten you in a real echoey room or something, or if we could have done it a bit better in post. Just because, not because of anything wrong with the way you were delivering it, but just it would have fit that like grandiose nature we were going. The montage in particular, we had such grand ideas for.
Oh yes.
Especially when we were originally thinking like the figures were going to be barrel monkeys and stuff like that. It was going to be everything is kind of like low budget, cheap, and then the montage is like the most highly produced like part of the entire show, and it still ended up that way. But like Phant went and shot a bunch of drone footage.
Well, I
for
should say
other
I
stuff.
didn't specifically go out to shoot a bunch
Yeah.
of drone footage. Like I, during a couple of vacations, brought my drone with me and just shot a whole bunch of environmental shots. Which I could show you at the end. I'm not going to bring it up right now. You know what? I'm going to put some stuff in here in the YouTube video so you can see that. It's giving me something to do. So I went to Mount St. Helens. I went inside a giant lava tube. I went just into forests, through these weird, like alien-like mounds that were just out in the middle of nowhere. Again, unrelated to this, just stuff we thought was cool. And the original plan was we're gonna intersplice footage from that, and I think they turned out pretty good. And we just ran out of time, didn't have enough time to do it. But
Yeah, we really wanted that. It's unfortunate, and that's why I also like I would talk about the grandiose like nature of the narration. It's supposed to be very like clearly we've gone to like the just overproduced like full on fantasy budget kind of thing was supposed to be the joke, and also at the same time a lot of this episode was kind of a bit of an homage to the Dungeons and Dragons episodes of Community as well, and so we were kind of like the hand-drawn map and everything is still like the way we shot the map is very similar to what they did in that, and just wanting to cut in B-roll from drone shots and stuff of the environment was supposed to be an extra funny way to do it to heighten it.
Yeah, this is also where we composed our second big piece of music, and I'll pull that up so we can hear it because it's a little quiet here. But I wrote the intro to this with like the string build up. Just like to give it some time to build before, and then right here is when, and so the adventurers went through and did all that. This was kind of inspired by like Warcraft 2, basically, at least the parts I did.
The adventurers are traveling.
Yeah,
They're walking and continuing to walk. Like it's very good
And
music.
look
for
at that! It's a massive mountain, so glamorous. You can.
Yeah, I'm sad the music like didn't end up because we had it in too loud the first time, and so then we brought it down, and then we ran out of time like to bring it back up again a little bit, and it was just it's so good. So it was a little bit louder.
This is the part where we put in, okay, here's when we're coming back to the party, and we'll just have it drone out a little bit with this long, like, cello string thing right there. Great, have to come back in. So David, for this song, David sent me like kind of like a basic chord progression, and then in the main part, like right here, I added in some like flourish to it. Da, 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 like that, and then it kind of like has this little arpeggio chord right there. So that was all just kind of like make it more dynamic, make it go places, because you always want music to go places.
All the horns and stuff in it fit so well. It's so great.
Yeah, I specifically sent David a clip of one of the montage things in Lord of the Rings, you know, where it's like the da 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 da, and it's like, let's go for instruments like this, and I think we can't lose.
Yeah,
exactly
pretty much.
All right.
RT continued to traverse through the vast lands.
Oh my God,
of
listen to my own
Speedlandia,
voice.
passing many
So this is our
interesting
higher def,
places along the way to the
like
dark
printout of the
tower.
map. We
They
actually just
stopped by Stardew
filmed
Valley for a
the
spell,
printout
where somehow
in
Zeke
slow
got
motion,
married to a
so that it would
180
help
FPS,
the
baby.
simulator.
yeah, so it would
They
help
passed
reduce
by Dracula's castle a
the
couple times, where they whipped
shake
and
of a
fell
handheld
to the
nature, because we
floor
didn't have
repeatedly.
stabilization stuff.
Out past
really.
the outer wilds they journeyed.
It was
where
all
they heard
handheld,
the
yeah.
echoes of the eye before racing down Rainbow Road on Thursday night. They soon found themselves in Eorzea, where they visited
Yeah,
the
in fact, it was
Palace of the
mostly
Dead,
me holding
where
the
I least
camera
learned
up,
what
and I'm not a camera operator because I'm tall, so I held it up really high. Or maybe that was for the wider ones.
That was for the wider
shots
shot that I
did.
don't think we ended up
180
using.
while under the
But
restriction
Oh,
of
okay,
the
okay.
keyboard. No
these are all
mouse.
close-ups I
Eventually,
shot.
they stumbled upon a really tall ladder.
Gotcha.
What
Yeah,
a
I
thrill.
forgot.
Yeah.
What a
that was
thrill.
definitely Hobbs who came up just, or I forget who said what a thrill. just
Yeah,
just
I don't
to
think I
add in
said
there.
what a thrill, but we definitely early on. So I knew ahead of time that the there was going to be the snake climbing the ladder channel on the break screen throughout the event. I'd seen that already. I think Bryce was making a joke. But yeah, I knew that was going to be in there, and I was like, we have to have an MGS3 reference in this thing, and it's so perfect for it to just be a really tall ladder. It's just a location.
Yeah, that's why the music
map.
notes are there too, because
Yep.
if you haven't seen the
Snake
Metal
Eater.
Gear Solid 3 run, go do it. Snake Eater, yeah. Fun fact as well, I was
Finally,
sick when
just
this
before
I did
reaching
this
their
recording.
destination, they paddled past the ravenous hyenas.
Oh
and
yeah,
delved into
the wrong take got
graveyard.
used,
We
unfortunately,
rejoined
but
the
it still was
party as
really
they
good.
just
So
entered the Dark Tower, which turned out to be called the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
that
And see
was
them
one of
now,
my main
in the
editing notes.
midst-
Not main, but like one of my editing notes was so Phant just shot each side of the table doing a bunch of like just no audio recorded. Well, we'll see. There is some
I got
audio
some stuff
recorded.
for you later.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
At the end of this,
But just shot us doing just a bunch of like improvised. What are things that you might do in a D&D campaign or whatever? And there's one point where I'm just like, Spike, you have to have the funniest, just like pulling a bow back and launching it. Like that's the thing. And it wasn't initially in the montage like cut. There was just kind of a little somewhat reused section of like Fu rolling like dice and stuff. And I was like, no, you need to shift this. I know Spike has that bow pull, and it was so good. I really want it.
Mhm.
So
of an encounter versus the dreaded Worms Armageddon.
let's see if you could figure out.
Jay, your blade
no, it already
strikes
happened.
true in the worm in
I was
front
gonna
of you
say
falls.
8F saying woo,
That's a first.
or saying
We're kind of
4,000.
on a tricky section here. Our execution has to be top notch. Zeke, how's it going?
You want to hit pause real quick? Yeah.
yeah.
So again, continuity. When he said your blade strikes true and one of the worms falls, that worm was on the board and it is now on my character sheet because we pulled it off and we made sure that for every shot of different angles that we knew whether that worm needed to be on the board or not and exactly kind of how they were all positioned.
Yeah,
it's
these
so
worms
silly.
again. So I'll bring up this shot again. We spent so much effort keeping these worms. We had the show worms basically packaged up separately because we went and bought a whole bunch of gummy worms, and we put them in because we had to tear down and reorient everything for the second time we did this because we had to do this twice with the worms and animal crackers and all that. And Sense was at the studio and ate the rest of the worms for a midnight snack. So we had no spares.
We were so glad we put the show worms aside.
Just the fact that we even had pushovers. Yeah, so Set ate all those. we did try to match roughly where the worms were positioned for like the close-ups and on screen, because you can kind of see it here.
Yeah, honestly, I think we did pretty well.
This
Like,
right here, this top screen right here, that was shot completely separately from this. You can
Yep.
see we did pretty dang good making sure these worms were right where they needed to be. Like you could, unless you
Yeah,
you
you can
zoom in really
match 'em
close, you
up.
can't tell. You can match them up. Again,
Yeah,
and also all of these worms are completely hidden by the Omnibar. So
all of
you
it's
can't
covered by
really
the
see.
Omnibar. We wasted so much time.
We did. But hey, we could think about it now that people have seen this behind
Yeah,
the
yeah.
scenes. They know
was
what a
so
good
worth-
job we did. on all
It was so worth it. Yeah.
Wait, how have you already defeated the entire Northern Squadron?
Well, that astral chain that I bought earlier for 2 gold, well, that normally costs 100,000 gold in vanilla, and for good reason.
Can't really
Okay,
hear it, but the Worms Armageddon theme
Spike,
is supposed to be
SDA,
playing
how's it going
here.
with the worms?
Forget these worms. My hands are full with.
I love this shot so much. Just getting it close up where it's just clear, it's just gummy worms and food and Spike's figure there.
Yeah. We wanted to get. It turns out with animal crackers, you can't tell what the fuck they are.
No,
And-
this is clearly an elephant though. We definitely
Yeah,
got
we
the
tried to
elephant.
make sure we got elephants, but we were like, I don't think they've got snakes or crocodiles in these things. So we tried. We were trying to come up with ways to get them, but we're also always limited on time for getting stuff. And again, like we spent like $100 on props, like that at most. Like there's no budget when it comes to all this stuff. They are frosted. Yeah, they're frosted because they didn't have any regular ones. It was either chocolate animal crackers or frosted ones. And I was like, I think the frosted ones are going to show up better.
Yeah,
Like,
they
you
do
can be able
show
to
up better,
tell a little bit
especially in
better.
this shot. I do love how this shot came out.
Yeah,
the
it was
nice depth
funny.
of field and all that. Yeah, getting that in there.
Also,
Um,
like talking back on story stuff, like trying to make sure that every character, even though we don't have like big character arcs in these pre-shows, right? It's a little like half an hour thing, and like but we still want to make sure that everybody, if they've got this kind of joke to their character and this one note to their character, that everybody gets their payoff. So like Keys' payoff is like he gets the astral chain. Like first of all, he does the breaking logic thing to go under the mountain, but also the astral chain that he bought at the beginning is so good it wipes out like half the worms, right? So that's part of like
yeah, they're killed
his
off screen.
payoff.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Feasel gets his payoff coming up, obviously. Fu gets hers coming up as well. Mine is kind of like summoning the Chip and Dale, and then Spike kind of like didn't need one as much because he got his right away in a way. Like he saved the party at the beginning. But we do try to make sure that each one of these like speedrunner classes has their moment where their unique ability or whatever, their unique traits end up solving a problem or pushing the story further forward.
All these elephants and snakes, and crocodiles. 100%. By your boy.
This is
Rudy.
one of my favorite mugs to camera.
Lank?
Yeah.
I'm still really injured from the last thing, so I'm going to die if I don't eat sushi.
And real quick, go back one sec. Just go back to Fu starting that. Yeah, okay, right there. That's perfect. If you can't tell, Fu accidentally bumps her lav here. Oh, my lights turned off. I'm supposed to be in bed. Fu accidentally bumps her lav here, and we were monitoring audio. We actually had somebody like on audio, but this is like the one thing we missed in the whole 2 days of shooting. And so that's why, like, if you go back and listen closely, you'd be able to tell.
Lank?
Yeah, I'll shut up for a second.
I'm still really injured from the last thing, so I'm going to die if I don't eat sushi.
Yeah, so like that cut might have sounded a bit weird, and like Fu's audio sounded a bit weird before, and it's because we had to use audio from a different mic so that you don't just get this clonk noise of the lab getting hit.
It was serviceable enough.
No, it worked out okay, but it's just funny, like small things like that happen literally every time. Like when we're doing it live, like when we do a live on-site show, we know that kind of thing's gonna happen. Like there are moments like that will just happen. Keys accidentally ripping his own shirt.
Yeah, that was a good one.
A previous pre-show when he was just ripping shirts off and he accidentally ripped the very bottom one. Caveman's mic not working in one of them, and I had to just improvise a line at the very end. Like squirt ketchup bottle not working all that well at SGDQ. So that we know stuff like that's going to happen, and part of like why I love working with this team is everybody's really good at rolling with the punches, and just carrying on. But when we're doing it for this, like you try to avoid those things, and they kind of stand out a bit more because you end up like it's not live, right? So people understand, or people expect a bit more out of it subconsciously. So it was unfortunate we missed that, but I do think it's just a funny like little note about it.
Feasel, I think your character is the closest one to Lank.
Yeah, just
So
Feasel
do you have enough
mashing
speed to get to her this turn?
the character into the wall,
what
which
are you-
doesn't make
what
any
are you
sense from a
doing?
D&D side of things. But
No,
He's trying to click
none
the
whatsoever.
wall again.
Here, one more try. Okay, one more try. One more try.
Dying, literally.
Okay.
Pause real
Feasel,
quick. If you're ever writing a thing like this that you're gonna have to film in sections, never have everybody exclaim something at the same time. It is the hardest thing to edit ever.
it really is. Everything just coming together weird. And Hobbs, hello. We may have lost Hobbs.
Oh, we back?
Oh,
We back?
yeah, I think we're
Hello?
back. I think we're back. All right.
Okay. Yeah, all I was saying is we're not always saying the same thing because you're just making some random exclamation, right? You don't have the exact same timing, the exact same thing you're trying to say, and talking over each other means that you can't use all of the mics at once because you'll get echoes. So it's just like, oh, it's really tough to work around. So big like props to our editor for making that one work like pretty much right away in one of the like first cuts.
I love you, but I'm really going to need you to get something going here. So if you could please.
I really love Ada's
last
physical
try,
acting.
give me
It
an
it
acrobatic.
really, really shows. Ah, yes, the slow motion dice roll. Hobbs knows I was very adamant about one of these takes during the filming of it, but we shot this at 180 FPS, and we did all these reaction shots at the end of shooting for that side of the table. And Spikes was so funny because we had him eating these animal crackers. And these animal crackers were like the savior. Like everybody was snacking on them the whole time. Like they're keeping the team alive. But while we were shooting this scene specifically, because I set the camera to shoot at high frame rate, so you just do the action and we got it in slow-mo. But Spike was like intentionally eating these very slowly, just regularly. We had to tell us like, Spike, just eat the apple crackers like you regularly would. You don't
Like,
need to
we're
mime it in
filming in-
slow-mo.
We're filming in slow-mo. Just be no. Yeah, it was so funny. I think all of us did it to a degree, or at least like I know Keys and I did a little bit initially as well. And then it was like, wait a minute, we're filming in slow-mo. Just act normal.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone wants to turn that into a Spike emote, yeah, there you go.
It was so good.
Yeah, this shot is so funny.
Also, the musical stinger is so perfect.
Yeah. That was also made. That one was entirely made by David. I had no contribution to that, but it sounded
Oh,
great.
it was good. Yeah.
So when we were shooting for this D20 roll, we had two ideas for it. One was we were just gonna roll till we hit a 20, and then one where we roll it, and then Hobbs was gonna reach in with his hand and then turn it over to a 20, which I have that alternate take to show you at the end of all this. And we were trying to get this one, and Spike was initially rolling it and would constantly go out of frame. So I went in there and I like pointed, okay, here's the area we need to do it. And I did like an example roll and then another example roll, just to show what it would look like. And then I was explaining it to Spike. I was like, okay, so we're going to do this, try and roll it like this. And while I was doing that, Hobbs was like, wait, did you get that? and I turned around, I looked down, and it was a 20, and it was this shot that made it into the final thing where it comes in, it has a really, really good like spin to it. Where is it?
It's
yeah,
so...
look at that. It rotates into frame.
Rotating to face the camera perfectly was so good. It's so tough too because like there were times where he rolled a 20 or rolled something where I could turn it into a 20 or whatever, but it was just barely out of the camera. Like it took a lot of shots to make this work with how close up. Looking back now, well, we couldn't because of being limited by the technology. If we could shoot it at slow-mo speeds while also being at like higher resolution, like 4K or whatever, or 8K even, then you can film it wider and you don't have to hit as like tight of a target, and then you can zoom in digitally down to 1080p because you'll still have full resolution. But we couldn't do that because I'm pretty sure your camera could do 180 at 1080, right? 180 FPS at 1080p, but not at 4K. And so it was like we just had to get that frame where we wanted, and it took a while. But yeah, once Phant picked it up, it took like 2 or 3 rolls.
Yeah, I was like, I just quickly rushed to the camera. I was like, did we get it? It's like, oh my God. I saw, I was like, this is perfect. We're using this. We still spent like 30 minutes getting the alternate roll. But
It was
ended up
not
using this
30
one.
minutes. It was
Okay,
not
18
30
minutes.
It was like 5 minutes, but it was still a long time for just doing a roll.
I have the exact clip. Okay, we can do the math here. The clip is 8 minutes long. It's shot at 180 FPS, and recorded at 60 FPS. So it's slowed down by a factor of 3. So it took us 24 minutes, Hobbs, to get that shot, and I got the proof.
We did.
All right, let's
Didn't we
go.
do it all in
Oh,
one? Whatever.
God,
No.
You watch as the worms instantly disintegrate. Clipping out of bounds caused the enemies to unload, ending the encounter instantly.
Yeah, that was I forget what happened with the audio there, but
Well, it's another case of we all say something at the same time, so it's just like impossible to get the get it
However,
perfect.
Clipping out of bounds caused you to hit a stray loading zone left by the developers, and you find yourselves inside the prize dungeon. Before you stands a legendary figure, an individual long thought to be.
really quick before we get to sense part, we did shoot a scene of a close-up of all of the characters out of bounds with the worms despawned, but I don't think it actually made it into the final edit.
Prize Lord.
No,
Dragon
yeah, but
Sentinel.
it was funny. We
Who
shot a
dares
pick up of that.
disturb the dragon?
Oh yeah, so ignore this pink tape. I put this pink tape down here to mark the edge of the omnibar, so we knew where Sent had to place all of his stuff.
Sentinel.
Yeah. And
Adventurers?
when I first got the cutback, I forgot that, and we had one of the revisions zoomed it in because I was like, "Why do we have that pink tape there? What the hell?" And then remembered on the next cut, and I was like, "Oh crap, we got to zoom it back out." I just remembered why it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, adventurers,
And we got the height
wonderful.
right,
Just
thankfully.
give me one moment to set up. Yes, it is I, the prize wizard, Sent. My realm.
Yeah, Sent, really came in clutch bringing all this stuff. Just had this like robe he could bring in. Like, all right, yeah, I've got it. I got all this stuff. And the funny thing is, unrelated to the pre-show, but he has like the Master Sword. He has the Hylian shield, the treasure box we use later. And we did a show for my Hotfix show, Game Masters, where we did Ocarina of Time charades. And this was that show was done after day 1 of shooting. So we had all the camera stuff set up. We kind of had to reconfigure this spot so it could be used for the show. And so Sent had in arm's reach all of the props we were using, and used the treasure chest, used the Master Sword that ended up being a GDQ prize, used the Hylian shield, used some action figures I think he even used the Steven Seagal action figure on that show. So if you go watch Game Masters, the Ocarina of Time charades, you'll see all of the pre-show props being used at several points as hints for me to figure out where I was going.
Appears like two adventurers like yourselves from time to time, full of wonderful trinkets to help.
Sent did a pretty good job of like memorizing
He's got
everything
some
pretty
really good
quickly
stuff for
too.
us here.
Indeed,
great.
I do. And in
Yeah,
return,
and he
I
wrote
only
kind of
ask
the
for
whole
one
idea for his segment here. It was initially a little long because if you give Sent 3 minutes, he'll take 5. But it was like we worked it down to about what it needed to be. So was good.
donation. Simply donate at least the minimum amount for each item, and it could be yours.
Took us, I think, 3
Those of you at
takes
the
to get
table
this
may
done.
Simply place
Yeah,
your
really not
donations
many in the
directly
grand
into
scheme
the
of things.
Oh my God, what?
hand. Oh,
Slight
no,
continuity
no, no.
error. The head's
Don't
like,
worry
So it's
about
not
it.
barely
It-
facing the wrong.
He's
It should have been
making
facing
right
like towards
nowadays.
8F,
Come
but
in, come
we didn't
in.
know because we did
Why does that
Sent's part
storefront say come?
last, but we did his part at our table first, or at our side of the table.
Yeah, so he's standing in the spot we shot ADEF at.
It's an acronym actually. It stands for a keeper of nice goods. Yes, keeper of nice goods. Okay, look, the Kong family is really busy right now with a banana crisis. They're not even going to notice. Definitely don't worry about it.
It's almost falls. The number of times
So,
that thing fell
you must be
over,
a wizard
or
after
almost fell
all.
over.
Oh yeah, there's a shot actually.
No,
This is
this
cut
is-
off by the omnibar.
Scroll.
Yeah, so we cleaned it up, put everybody out of bounds.
Oh, yeah.
And cleared all this, but you don't really see too much of
You
this
must
or
be a
notice too
wizard
much of
after
this.
all. What? No, this isn't a scroll. This is a protective playmat for the table featuring Rayquaza from Pokemon. It's very dusty in here. I
love
don't
Sent.
clean
He's
often.
great.
Oh, that must be the material for an invocation.
Material
No, this is just a
Sent
candle.
responding to a
It
different
smells like
take
the
of mine,
seeds.
so
quite
it's slightly
nice, and
different.
It's dark
but-
in here. I like to lighten the place up. You know what? Hold on. I've got a way to resolve this. Let's just do this real quick.
Whoa, what kind of weapon uses that many dice?
What? It's not a weapon. It's a dice tower. There's like 5 of you in here. I just needed to figure out who I was going to help first.
Is any of this going to be useful for us?
Okay, it's clear you all don't have time to sit through my speech. That's perfectly fine. I've got a good friend of mine who could probably help you. Ardbert, the Warrior of Light, one of the greatest heroes of my generation. Here, let me summon him using my ancient ancestral spell.
I love this bit.
You just nailed pulling out the phone. It worked.
Yeah.
So well.
Yeah, I need to call in that.
The Ardbert bit was like twice as long. That was what we had to cut down.
Mhm.
What do you mean raid night? I thought I.
Spoilers,
This is
he's
so
not
good.
actually talking to Ardbert, the Warrior of Light. Sorry to break it to you.
How dare? How dare?
We're pulling back the curtain. Yeah.
Who's your cast of this tier? Yeah, I know it's really hard to get 8 people to get. Yes, I still have the statue. Oh, okay, we'll do that. Yeah, no, good luck. You'll get it. As I was saying, Ardbert,
Such a
the
cool
Warrior of
prize as
Light,
well.
greatest hero of our generation.
Okay, I don't think he's going to help us. Why don't we just move on?
No, wait. I surely have one more thing that will interest you.
Come on, let's go.
The Master Sword, the blade of evil's bane.
Look at those
Truly a
fingerprints.
magnificent.
Yeah.
Oh,
For the record,
Dave-
this thing is
Dave-
sharp as hell.
It is.
Like it's not fully blade sharp or anything, but it's like really like you could easily cut yourself on it. So when Sent holds in a little bit, he's holding in a way that you basically can't see it on camera because it's flat. And afterwards, looking, I'm like, I wish we had just gotten like tilted up a bit. But I'm also like, that thing is sharp as hell. So like, I'm glad he was holding it safely.
Already left. Well, they might be gone, but the rest of you can head over to
Right here,
gamesdonequick.com/donate to get in your donations for the marathon and potentially win some of these amazing prizes. Leaving the prize dungeon, you find yourselves instantly transported into a hall at the top of the dungeon. At the end of the hall is seated a lamb.
Pickup
I love this
shots.
pickup. Yeah, this special pickup shot with the heroes behind it. That was a fun one to shoot. In every single scene, we have the lamb facing the camera. It doesn't make sense continuity-wise, but
No.
you can see it the whole time. Yeah. So when we're looking at Hobbs, it's facing the camera on the opposite side of the table. We're shooting Spike and Fu. It's turned a little bit, so it's still facing the camera. And,
But that's one of
yeah.
those like you have to get right. It should always face the camera, even though it's not right continuity wise. But yeah, we were basically our own script supervisors for this whole thing. It was
Yeah.
Lamb rising.
tough to catch everything.
Yeah.
But that one
after
we
our-
did intentionally.
Yeah, after our first set of the tavern set, we realized we forgot to take a picture, and I was like, okay, I need to go take pictures of everything so we remember
Yeah.
how to place it up. So we had to improvise a solution for that. We thankfully had enough in old footage to rebuild it, but everything else, we took pictures, so we knew where these 5 figures were placed, the order they were, where they were at the crack in the table, roughly where the lamb was. So when we shot this 3 different times, we tried to emulate that as best as we can. So the hero order is always the same no matter the shot.
And begins to speak. You must be the supposed heroes I've heard so much about. My
I've
cult
tried out
has
a few
spread
different voices for
far
this
and
too.
also
We
wide.
went with the
From the lands
deep
of Kanto
imposing
to Drain
voice.
Lake,
I
from
like how it came out.
Brinstar to Dreamland. I'm afraid your harrowing journey was all for naught, as here the world ends with you. Final remix.
I still can't believe that's the take that got used.
Yeah.
When it came back in the edit, we had so many different takes that were more like normal. And when I saw that was the one that got used in the edit, I was like, I'm not asking for that to get changed. It's too funny.
Yeah, we had
But
a
that was
couple.
our big payoff.
Yeah, I really liked that one. That was my favorite, and we had a couple definitely more subdued ones. And yeah, going full ham I think was the right choice.
Yeah, but that was our big payoff for the whole like why we mugged the camera so much at the beginning and then it kind of like tapered off for a while. Was so that way we could have moments like that or the final option coming up.
Yeah, we had that nailed down pretty early to do. That was one of the we wrote the ending very early on in this. We knew we
Yeah.
wanted the world to end with you. We knew Steven Seagal was coming
Gosh,
in.
his
And
name is so cute. I love it so much. Can I join your cult?
No, Link, it's evil. Pay attention.
Oh, sorry.
See, the lamb's
Almost had
changing
me
perspectives
Yep.
every time. Don't worry about
I
it.
mean, even the adventurous Shovelclaws couldn't stay away.
You watch as the lamb uses its power to unleash poisonous, spiky vines formed by pure dark energy and obliterate Zeke's goat husband.
No! This thing is too powerful. What could we possibly do?
I'll never get RNG like that last battle again. I think we're all out of options.
No, wait. There's still.
Yeah, so I spent a decent amount of time trying to come up with how we wanted to say these lines, and ended up getting there with the final option, like being all serious, like the final option.
The final option.
My only
Hey,
mug to
just tell me
camera.
About that
Yeah.
The whole
marathon
thing.
stat you prepared?
That's right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I grabbed a backup elixir at the last stop we made. Okay. I drink the elixir to give myself an extra bonus action and cast
Also, you
a
can hear
spell.
Foo's earrings in every single line from her. There's a
down
reason
to
that
my
if you go
family
look at like
project.
movie props, they make everything silent. It's like, how do we make
Yeah.
a basketball silent when you're bouncing it? It's the most bizarre shit, but now I understand.
Yeah, we didn't have time to do our own sound follies.
The final option.
Okay, with a swift motion, Lonk.
Lank.
Yeah, that came together. We tried that so many times to get that exchange to work.
Yeah.
Just like the appropriate cutoff, ADOS response, and Esteban did really good in the edit for it.
Mm.
Just came out
Link,
perfect.
Right. Link, as you cast the final option, memories of your ancestors.
Again,
come
all
flooding
these
back to you.
perspectives were filmed
Visions of
separately.
Crack attack, a distant ancestor.
So-
no doubt.
We had an idea here. We didn't end up. I don't even. We didn't even really. We did shoot. I think maybe a take or so about it, but we had maybe an idea of like we have Fu just like looking around up in the air and stuff while Adef's talking about her. Seeing memories of her ancestors. Which, first of all, one of her ancestors being Crack Attack made us laugh every single time we rehearsed and were writing the pre-show. It was just so funny. But we had one where she was going to look around and it was just going to be like Crack Attack's profile picture or various like shots of Crack Attack just floating up above her head. And we ended up going without it because of A, time, and B, it might have been a little too weird. But it was so funny. It was a very neat idea we were toying with.
There's so many ideas we have that unfortunately we can't bring to light with our limited time, limited budget, but
Yeah.
this is where a lot of this
Fill
stuff
your
gets
mind.
distilled from.
I summon Steven Seagal is the final option.
The friggin' Undertaker
To be seen at the
figure.
end of the album.
Where did
Yeah,
you
it
get
turns
this?
out-
You went and bought this, right?
Walmart. Yeah, like
Has
so
an
it
action
turns
star.
out that Steven Seagal action figures are expensive. Like
Option.
very expensive, like $200 to $1,000 expensive. So so we were like, all right. I went searching on like what was in stock nearby, and Undertaker was the best we could get. It was Undertaker and some other wrestler, I don't remember, but those were our best bets. And and yeah, this one we just kept shooting it from behind, and then it was fine.
Yeah.
Prototype. To be seen at the end of the awful block.
Nobody can care.
As the
Nobody
lamb
cares
attempts
that
to
it says
strike
brown
the
instead of
has-been
black.
action star, Steven Seagal redirects the lamb's energy into one final Aikido blow.
We did look that up, by the way. That is actually Steven Seagal's supposed martial arts is Aikido, which
Aikido.
redirects stuff. It's complete bullshit, but doesn't matter. It's still funny.
As he delivers the final blow to the lamb.
But yeah, if you don't believe
Steven
me, try
Seagal
Googling,
manifests all of you, and then transforms
Steven
himself.
Seagal action figure.
Yeah.
You'll see it's real pricey out there.
When I forgot the first edit back, there's a sound effect that plays here. Let's just listen to it.
Flies away.
The seagull, like I don't know who put, if
so
that was
good.
just what our editor put in. It slayed me. I was done. I had like pause for minutes to get the giggles out to watch the rest. And
Yeah, I don't remember if Caveman came up with it, or I think Caveman did come up with it, but I don't remember if it got written down or if like Esteban just had the same idea or not. But either way, it was whoever the credit belongs to. It was so funny.
Who knows where he's going or why? But I know one thing. Wherever he's going, someone needs him.
Love this delivery.
After this final puzzling act, a treasure chest appears in the center of the room.
Oh, it's from Tunic because I had it. It was just it's actually it's right there. You can see it. It's right there.
It's right there. There you go.
We were trying to think of what we would put in this, like, or what we put the thing in, and then it dawned on me while we were talking about it at one point. I was like, I have the exact perfect thing for this. All because Tunic sent me, or Finji sent me a box of goodies for Tunic. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and this is where you can really see why we had to do AGDQ the way we did, because he's leaning over. There's no way that DM shield is still standing. He's like leaning way over the table here, so that's why we don't show too much from that angle, like interacting with the table.
Okay, I open the chest.
As you open it, you find an ancient piece of parchment inside.
It says, "Are you a kid or are you a squid?"
And now, the real quest begins.
Because Splatoon 3 is the first one in the marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the whole pre-show, start to finish.
And then the end of this is a joke just for Newbie. It was just for Newbie. I did it while we were talking. I didn't think it'd get used, and then it gets used. It was just for you, Newbie. So the very end.
I'm a squid.
Squid?
Squid, clearly.
Kid.
What? No.
Can we just agree Rainmaker is the best?
I just said that while we were all like during one of the random takes where we were just bullshitting answers at the end there, kid or squid and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, can we all just agree Rainmaker's the best? It's like Newbie, you'll get a crack at it.
yeah. So guys, yeah, this was so much fun to shoot. This is probably, I would say this is definitely our most involved production-wise for it.
Oh yeah.
We've done a number of ridiculous things, but this was all that. But this couldn't be a true behind the scenes without showing some outtakes for you. So I did compile a couple things. No, we're don't expect any like Lord of the Rings appendices level stuff, but I did compile a couple things together that will be fun. So let's go.
Yeah, and we were cutting this. We were also cutting the cameras pretty quick to try to help reduce the amount of footage to go through. So like sometimes we're just bullshitting between takes, but there's just no footage of it. So
all right.
Yeah, this is a funny one. So we actually used a film slate here, and I just got a cheap one with chalk. And there's a reason you don't use chalk. And every time we slapped this clapper, chalk residue just floated down. And every time. So this is like one of our first.
Take one.
Take one.
This is the first.
Take one. 1v1, take one. And then just Hobbs gets a full face of chalk.
You can't even see it on the camera, but you can hear Spike. It's just, there's so much chalk dust in the air.
It's all over the place.
It gets on the table and stuff. So Midnight Vesper was the one doing this at the beginning, and had to just like shake the thing out after writing on it every time.
Chalk dust went everywhere. Okay, quiet on set.
That's the voice of Caveman, who is kind of like the pre-show director. This is an alternate take of AGDQ just beating the crap out of the lamb. You may notice it's a little bit more crinkly after this. And this is kind of when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do here.
Go ahead and destroy.
I'm gonna go hard.
Yeah.
Don't go too hard. We need it for tomorrow.
Are you still filming? I still got it.
I still got it as the camera shakes around because you're laughing. I love it.
Oh my god, yeah. So that's all filmed with the Panasonic Lumix GH5, for one of the 3 pre-show cameras and all the close-ups. Oh yeah, so this is that's my hand. Spoilers, I know. Hand reveal. Oh my god. Whoa. So this is me literally pointing to the spike. Like, you rolled here. Okay, I placed it on, and then I rolled once. Didn't get it. That was a 2, but it still had a 2 in it. And then here it is. The roll just, bam, literal second try. And this is when I'm just talking to Spike and going over and trying to figure it out. So that was just incredible. But I do have the alternate take in here. So here's the other idea we played with. Got an 18, and then here comes Hobbs. changes it to
Yeah, Spike was very adamant on us doing it this way too, and we did end up going the other way, but it was funny. Just like
yeah, it is.
listen,
funny.
we all need this to be over at this point. And the problem was that, like, in order to do it all in one smooth motion, if we wanted to catch the roll and the flip of the thing, it had to not only not land on 20, which I mean that part's not very hard. I had to see where the 20 was, so the 20 had to be on the side facing me at the other end of the table, in order to like be able to quickly turn it, knowing it would be in slow-mo, like in order to be able to quickly turn it to 20. So it turns out that, you know, when you need it to show on only like half of the die, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to get it to line up.
It is. So coming up, yeah, all of these were
Montage.
shots. Yeah, montage. So for the montage segments, we filmed each set. I only had my camera to pull from for most of this stuff, so this is from my camera here. We just filmed like, okay, do stuff for a minute, and I was kind of like playing director in the back, like, okay, give me this, give me that. It's like, excellent, beautiful. Okay, now do this, now do that, now do that.
Yeah,
So,
I think all of us were just throwing out ideas
Yeah,
occasionally
we-
too, of
mhm.
like various things.
So here is a minute of Spike and Food doing random stuff, and it's so funny because they whispered this whole time, even though
No,
they were
Food
so...
doesn't.
Yep.
Food doesn't.
Chopsticks.
Spike does. Spike's like,
Yeah.
I know this has no audio. I must be quiet. And we're like, Spike, but we're just not going to take the audio from it.
Nice. Let's go.
No, she's still
Oh,
whispering.
she did whisper, but not the whole time.
Okay. That's true. That's true. Dude, I don't think. Hello. What? Ada's not even here. Oh my God.
Spike. You pulled your brother.
No, we should.
I asked when he told him
we
to do
should
the
go.
bow.
Yeah.
We need to go to the mart. We need to get some stuff. We need to get stuff at the mart.
He's sitting there like whispering,
rolling.
not talk.
No, stop.
Spike is so precious.
I'm taking it away from you. Okay. All right. One time. One time.
The bow. Yeah, there it is. I love it.
Okay. Sweet. What else do we want to do? This is really heavy. You can get it back, but just once. Okay.
Talk to Hobbs over here in the middle.
Yeah, what am I doing?
Hobbs, nice commentary. Just like comment.
Yeah, okay. So I said, yeah, what am I doing? You know what I'm actually doing? I'm sitting about 6 feet behind the camera away from the table.
Yeah, so when we shot this side, we still wanted Hobbs there, but he was too tall, so blocking all the cameras. We had to have him sit behind the cameras. He's just way in the back to deliver the
Yeah,
lines for these
I sat
parts.
so far away, but still mic'd up, so if we needed to use the audio from it,
Mm-hmm.
we could. But it was it was really funny. But just for sight lines, I tried to sit about what would be accurate.
Yeah, we did the same thing with ADF, and ADF's just a natural at this.
Yeah,
All right, so as you adventure across the wastelands, you find
he
that
definitely
there's
does some
wastelands
stuff we
there.
can't use or we couldn't
Yeah.
use coming up here. And he said it was a John Wick reference, which I love. It totally makes sense. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a die roll. You see it? This is a die. I'm gonna roll it now. Here it comes. Oh my God! 4,000!
I'm asking you a question.
That part gets used.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's actually possible because he would have said that he liked you if he liked you.
With our characters too much?
Hobbs give you a finger gun.
Hobbs, finger guns. I like it. This is me loading a 9mm pistol. I'm cocking it back. Now, if I were to train it on your position, that would be bad firearm practice. But then two hands. Now we're in CSI Miami, okay, guys? And maybe I scratch my head with it a little bit.
Let's play with
and
some figures.
Here are 2 minifigs, and they're like, man, we don't want our son to try out for the baseball team. Why not? Well, that's your dream, not his dream. And
Get down nice and
now
low
they're
there.
fighting.
Yeah, there we
And now they're fighting. Oh, maybe they're kissing. Oh, now they're kissing. And now they're going around town. And now here's me handing the goat over to Keys.
Look at that
A
goat.
beautiful goat. This goat, and he really loves you. And he's going, oh, I love you so much. And then he goes, and it's very nice. It's very gentle.
Gosh.
So what a
So much
kind
energy.
moment. And then one final thing. Me just going like this. That's gonna be that.
It was so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, all of those. Somehow that was all the easiest part to do. Was the pickup shots of all of that. It was so funny watching that back. But yeah, real quick on that too. Like, oh crap, what was I gonna say? I had something, and now it's escaped my brain. But yeah, ADF is definitely very good at that. Maybe it'll come back to me.
I got one more here. Couldn't go without Scent.
What kind of weapon rolls that many dice?
It's not a weapon. There's just like 6 of you here. I don't know who to help first. I was going to roll one.
It's okay because you also placed all of that way too far forward.
I did, yeah.
It worked out perfectly too because there also weren't 6 of us. There were 5 of us. So
Yeah.
we also fixed that lineup.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because he was thinking ADF was part of it.
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
The other 6 people. But yeah, Scent dropped a lot of stuff. This one I just thought was pretty
Well,
funny.
a lot of it was just like precariously balanced because that was how it kind of had to be. Like the Kong storefront thing is on pieces of the dungeon wall and little like
Yeah.
attachment things. It's not like an actual stand, so that's why it almost falls over when he like passes it off to Feasel in the real shot.
Yeah, again, $100 prop budget here. For the entire pre-show.
And the bigger thing too is just the time. Like we don't have time to figure out we need a stand for this sign and then go get it. Half the time we don't even know what prize the Scent's going to be showing us until like the day before or something. So it's really we don't have time to like stop filming to go get some other prop we need. So it's just
Yeah.
whatever we can get in the morning of the shoot, pretty much.
And well, that's all of the footage I had to share with you all. So I guess Hobbs, we originally thought, I was like, oh, this is gonna take like 45 minutes or an hour stuff. 2 hours later, here we are. It turns out we had a lot of stuff to talk about now.
I kind of figured it would be this way. I was almost gonna be like, can we like not do it at 10? Can we do it at 9? Because I think it's gonna be longer than we think. But it's fine. This is so fun.
Sorry for ruining your sleep schedule today, but I
Oh,
guess
it's so good.
I'm gonna leave it over to you. Like anybody in chat, if you had any final questions or something you wanted to ask us about the pre-show, and Hobbs, if you had any final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing that I just talking about, like we always have a ton of ideas. I brought that up before, that we even some that we come to the day of wanting to do or coming up with on the day of that we don't end up getting to do. Something we were considering doing was having like unique lighting for every set, or
Yes.
sorry, for every scene, because we have these like big LED light things, and we wanted to do it, but we realized, okay, well, we want to get everything without the lighting first, because if the lighting doesn't work and then we've only shot it that way, like that's not good, because there's some shadow that we just don't notice or something, right? So we did it once we got through first day of filming and we'd only done me, Feasel, and Keys' side of the table. We were like, okay, we're scrapping the lighting thing because we're just not going to be able to do it. We didn't do it for our side. It just took us that long to get through our side, like with the standard lighting. So yeah, that was another one of those kind of grand ideas. Various like costume sketch sections, as I kind of mentioned before, was another potential
everybody
thought.
being in costume.
We were going to go on a little like trip to the prize dungeon. Like we were actually going to get up, move from the table and kind of go like handheld for a second or something. We were like, this doesn't make any sense, first of all, for a D&D game, and second of all, like this is going to be a nightmare to film. So we ended up not doing that. But
Yeah, when we were thinking of doing like more like in character versus players playing, I threw around the idea of like doing like an actual like montage like out in the mountains of doing helicopter style shots with the drone of people traversing during the montage, and obviously that didn't end up working, but we did entertain it for slightly a little bit. And this is actually a good question that since Splitter brings up. How much does the schedule being finalized influence the start of planning? And do you jot down any ideas beforehand if anything comes to mind and then evolve it further along the line? Hobbs, you're very familiar with this.
yeah. So first of all, Sinspitter, great job as a social volunteer always, and also for asking fantastic questions on Twitter. I really appreciate it when we're doing the interviews and like I see your name pop up with a good question. I'm like, I know we pull from Sinspitter a lot, but they're good questions. So, but yeah, the schedule being finalized is everything. We cannot even start until we have a games list on both interviews and pre-show, because like we can maybe have some ideas of a theme or something, but we don't want the pre-show to be a plug and play kind of thing where we could do it with any schedule. Like we'd really try to pick a theme and just design the whole sketch around the games from that schedule, because that's the whole point of it at the end of the day. Is to bring people in and entertain, but we also want to inform people about what they can catch that week, and hopefully, call out a game that they're like, oh, I like that game, I'll tune in later. So when the games list comes out, sometimes we have an initial meeting, mostly to just kind of go over some like basic boilerplate stuff and maybe start jotting down some ideas of like blocks we think they might pick and stuff like that. Some things we're probably going to want to interview or whatever. For the most part, we can't do anything until we have a schedule. And when we end up doing these pre-records of like for the online events, when we go and pre-record the pre-show, we have to do that like a month before the event. So we lose a month. So we are on like a super ultra compressed timeline between when the schedule comes out and when we need to have a pre-show written and, edited and like ready for us to go film. So it's actually like really tough, and it's been stressful, but everybody's been like fantastic about like making it work. And was D&D his idea? I forgot. I didn't know who. I legitimately didn't remember whose idea it was.
I don't think I was in that meeting, but that's also hilarious because
yeah, that is.
Spike being like not familiar with D&D, suggesting the D&D,
Yeah.
and it ended up being amazing. So
I forgot like one of the other ideas too of like the whole format being different is we were like, okay, well, what if we went full like Critical Role with it? Like we're because what we ended up kind of doing was we are just people playing a game that happens to be getting filmed, other than when we're breaking
Right.
fourth wall camera. But we were like, maybe like it's, oh no, we are putting this on for people specifically, and like we'll have a little like whole thing about it. It ended up a lot in that direction, but we were originally going to try to maybe design stuff around like Dimension 20 or Critical Role or one of those other shows to look more like a direct reference to them or a parody of, but we didn't end up doing that. But yeah, the schedule thing is like we have had times where we've had to completely alter sections of the pre-show because a runner ends up not being able to make it to the event, and they don't know until like a month or two beforehand, and that's doable live and extremely hard for the pre-recorded stuff, and also just it's stressful no matter when it happens. So thankfully that didn't happen this time, but there are always some schedule changes, so we sometimes have to like be ready to change the like which day we say something's on. There is a pre-show where you can hear we actually did some ADR to fix the date that something's on. I'm not gonna say which one, but if anybody is like is the biggest fan of the pre-show ever and wants to go back and watch them, you could probably figure it out.
if someone went and found it and reports me, I would thank them so much. Like, thank you for being a big fan of the pre-show, because we put so much effort, we put so much time, and like all of us really love. Like for me, it's like my favorite part of the event, working behind the scenes, because like I do regular interviews and produce all that, which is fine. Got to do like some translating the /GDQ, did some run commentary, but like making the pre-show, that's always highlight. So
yeah, it's always super fun. But yeah, hopefully maybe we can end up with slightly less of a compressed timeline in the future, because
hopefully, yeah.
it is.
Give us another day off.
Stressful.
Give us 3 days. Yeah.
it's always scary.
All right. Well, I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. Thanks so much to everybody for watching us talk about this for like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And yeah, it's an honor that people were like really interested in seeing behind the scenes, and hopefully you learned something, found something new, learned something that you may not have realized that went into all this stuff. And I really appreciate your time. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. This is super fun. I want to do this more too.
Yeah, I want to do this for every pre-show, basically.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why we didn't do this so soon.
These are fun. I used to do more of a review on my own channel of these as well, and then like just kind of it became a lot, and trying to make sure that it was all cleared and everything to do. But this is super fun, and it's also a lot easier to do with somebody else. So thanks for having me, Phant, because
absolutely
it makes it a lot easier for us all to remember the things.
I had to have my boss here, so
director's commentary.
Yeah.
We gotta go get Caveman, because Caveman was like the director on set, whereas I like kind of we all have direction over the creative, like we all have control over the creative direction of it, but I kind of like consider that being my main role, is just like the final creative direction or whatever, to make sure it all is cohesive. And yeah, to get and do some commentary on it was really fun.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna close it out here. So anybody watching this on YouTube, thank you so much, and I really, really appreciate you making it to the end. And SGDQ 2023, I'm hoping to be back doing this again. I'm not gonna say it's a promise because I never promise something 6 months in advance, but I'm gonna try. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much.